welcome to episode number 26. I'm your host, Dan Lindsay, and tonight, the Knights of the Wrestling Roundtable are back. Well, two of them are. We have Joe, we have Tyler. I guess I had to pull Tyler back in, even though the catering budget isn't great right now. It has been for a while, but good enough to get him in for SummerSlam at least, so we will continue as forward with this. But seriously, welcome back.
Had a nice steak right before I came on here, Dan. I'm covered today. You're good. I got you.
Well, that's why you're tired. You had a nice steak, so that's why you got the food weighing you down there.
That's right, yeah. Just already slumped the whole thing.
And welcome, Joe, land of Cena, where all the shows are already selling out for Cena's announced returns to Boston and Springfield, Mass. The pandemonium has started.
Yes. Coming to you live from a few towns over from West Newbury, as we famously know that he's from.
Well, it's great to have you guys on here. Talking to Cena, we will get to his match against Cody. We will go through basically the whole card. Actually, as of we're recording, the Roman Reigns, Jey Uso versus the Braun Brawns, as Roman is calling them. We will follow our OTC's lead right there, call them the Braun Brawns. That is actually official. We have a graphic and everything, so as we know, we get a graphic. We know it's official. So we have a 10-match card. I gotta imagine we might get two more. My thinking is you're not gonna make this a 2-night SummerSlam as big as a 2-night WrestleMania, but I also feel like you're still gonna make it a little bit bigger than your normal PLE nights. Most PLE has been 5, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get 2 more matches. We'll talk a lot about that a little bit too, but all of the titles but 3 so far that are announced are being defended on SummerSlam. The only ones that haven't been called to be defended yet is the women's U.S. title, and I think that is very slim. That gets updated and changed at all. And both the men's tag titles have yet to be announced to be defended on SummerSlam. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the first championship match I have on the list here: the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Becky Lynch, Lyra, Valkeria. One of the 3 matches that has some stipulations. No disqualification match. Fairly straightforward, for the stipulation here. No DQ. If Lyra loses, she can't challenge while Becky still has the belt. Yippee, we've heard this a million times. So, Joe, I'm tossing it to you first here. Give me your rundown on this feud, this match, and let me know who you think will win this match.
Yeah. First of all, happy to be back. Always such a pleasure to be with you fine wrestling savants. I would be remiss if I didn't plug something. Shout out. Rest in peace to the GOAT. I don't know when this is dropping, probably a week after yesterday, but just a quick little shout out to Ozzy. Anyway, back to our regular scheduled programming. So I feel like I'm in a big time loop, because if I recall, the last time we did this, I think it was before Money in the Bank. I forget when that last match was. Lynch, Valkeria. I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. I'm all for trilogies and long rivalries. This did not need to be that long. It's stagnant. It's stale. Becky we've been over this. She's future Hall of Famer. She's reached the point of Cena and Randy Orton, and where she's a legend. You do whatever you want with her. And this shouldn't even really be a match, or maybe if it should be a steel cage, tables. They should really find a way to ramp up this rivalry, because it's pretty stagnant. Dare I say, I don't care about it, if we're being honest. I'm sure it'll be a fine match. I'm sure it'll be okay. But of all the other matches that you have coming up on this, who cares? I almost don't even want to go on even further about it. It's just a match. It's a rivalry. It's a card filler. My guess is it's anyone's game, right? We thought that Valkeria was going to win. She didn't at Money in the Bank. So now it's maybe she wins and holds the title for a while. If Becky wins, it really cements it as okay. That filled 3 months. Okay, that's pretty much my whole take on it.
Who who you taking as winning the match then? I'm almost afraid to ask you that one.
I want Valkyrie. It almost feels obvious, I suppose, right? I mean, I'm sure there's diehard Becky fans that really want her to win, obviously, but the future is so much brighter. The ceiling is so much higher if Valkyrie wins. You know, she's young, she's up and coming. The idea is Becky should put her over. We've seen in the past how some tenured people do not like to put people over, whether that's on purpose or not. It would just make way more rational sense to have her win. You know, with her losing, what do you do with her next? She's back to being a non-champion. Uh, yeah, you lost a major rivalry way up to the top. So, you know, I hope it's Valkyrie. That's going to be my take. That's my pick, I should say.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, if of the card that has a lot of matches that had a rush build, because we've had I don't know a dozen PLEs and Saturday night's main events and PLEs combined. I think we're at least 12 between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and we have another one at the end of August. Like for all the things that are being rushed on this card, this one is like we couldn't have fleshed this out more. But they've already hit every trope, like you kind of are getting to of everything, just with um, they've had the triple threat. They've had, different things. Like no DQ, yeah, it's fine, and that allows for different things, but be a little more creative than just no DQ. Where do you take this, Tyler?
Yeah, I agree with you on your last point for sure. I was definitely hoping that they would be a little more creative than a no DQ. Certainly, I it's better than just having another normal one-on-one match for sure. But I would say it's like the most barely better you could have had, right? Like if you're gonna not do a one-on-one singles match straight up, the laziest way you could go would just be no DQ. Also think it's the most stress-inducing one that you could have picked, right? Like any kind of just no rules match, right? Where it's, if it's just no DQ, if it's street fight, if it's whatever you want to label the million different names you could have for a street fight, that would be like the one that I feel most stressed about. And the reason is something that obviously Joe touched on. The correct call here is Lyra Valkeria should win this feud. Now, with the Bayley equation, that is kind of strange, where Bayley obviously is jealous right now, at the very least, of Lyra in the spot that she is, because she's lost. She's struggled over the last year to win matches, and she's definitely struggled to beat Lyra, for sure. And obviously, now with this whole curveball of, I got us a tag team match against the tag team champions tonight. And Lyra, I think she literally said, "What are you playing at? Like, what are you doing?"
Yep.
Like, and it's and yes, I understand that the point of it is us fans to go, "What are they doing?" That's an interesting, but now it's just setting up. Oh, Bayley's gonna beat the crap out of Lyra Valkeria. She's gonna turn heel. Becky's gonna win. Lyra can't challenge, and now the only one who looks stupid is the only one who shouldn't in this entire feud. And so that's my biggest fear. Now, that being said, I agree with most of Joe's points. I think that this was as poorly done as you could have, considering the potential that it could have had, with obviously how much the two respect one another, how great their very brief feud, albeit it was, their feud in NXT was. This had a lot of potential, and I think beyond that really excellent match where Lyra actually came out on top, I think that this feud has really fallen flat. Now, as for my pick, I am going to say Lyra, because if I don't pick Lyra, I'm going to throw up all over my monitor. Because again, that's just the only way that this needs to end. If Becky Lynch comes out on top, then all of the personal attacks that she did about Lyra, and how Lyra wants to be her and is never going to be her and is never going to be good as her, is going to look like it's correct, which I don't know about you, Dan or Joe. I don't think that should be the point of a feud with one of your top young babyfaces, is to make them look like a big old doofus, because that's what it's going to make her look like. Please, for the love of God, you already had Lyra lose and raise her hand and look like a doofus once, and she's mostly recovered from that character-wise and in-ring-wise. Don't do it twice.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about, in the history of pro wrestling, right? This would obviously be far from the first time where let's give it a name, right? They're at the end of the day, when the feud ends without useless feuds, it's where you just spent the last 3 months of me watching your programming. Look, not every movie you see is going to be great, but when you have control over the product, like pro wrestling, when you have an ending to a feud on the longer side, 3.5 months, we'll consider that it's a pretty long feud,
Sure.
When it doesn't end, not so much, I'm not alluding to the way the audience wants it to end, because sometimes just the way it is. It's when it ends where you're right back to square one. Those are the dumbest feuds in pro wrestling, where it's like, okay, nothing was gained from this. Other than me watching content, nothing was gained from this. Useless feud. And it won't be the last time it happens, but it's like in the 50 years of modern pro wrestling, the fact that it's happening, it's like a miracle. You're like, how have we not, like what? It really begs the question, what was the point? And of course, the opposing argument is, oh, well, they're playing the even longer game with her. And it's like, well, I don't have the patience for that.
I think you bring up a good point there, Joe, too, with, the long game and everything with Lyra, not wanting to ruin one of your baby faces. And you have a really good women's roster right now. You have even more NXT women just kind of waiting in the wings that are getting better. And it's kind of like we're stuck in a feud with two deserved legends, as you mentioned. They have their flowers, but it's like you're going to have a legend keep hanging on this title. So I'm going to make it 3 for 3, taking Lyra here for sure. The DQ thing obviously means Bayley's going to get involved. And, yippee. I go back to, this wasn't a rush feud. It's been a long-term feud considering pretty much the rest of this card. And we're kind of in a, it's an interesting one. It'll be, I don't think it'll be a bad match. They're not bad people, bad wrestlers. I feel Lyra's gotten better, and I feel a lot of people that didn't really know Lyra, didn't watch a lot of NXT, have kind of rallied behind her, and I think she's grown with literally every episode and every promo she goes out there. She's had some stumbles, a lot of people do, but she recovers in the moment and she does well. So that's why I'm picking Lyra. I hope they put it back on her. This is really almost the 4th, 5th match when it comes down to these two, if you include the NXT matches, the triple threat and everything. And yeah, it's time to close this feud and find some more challengers for Lyra. And maybe that for next challenger is Bayley. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that, but let's move out of this, this triangle of, oh, let's put it here, put this person there, and keep on doing Triple S and DQs. We just need a fresh slate after SummerSlam, kind of like we do with WrestleMania, fresh slate after SummerSlam. So hopefully this gets that refresh, and it's on Lyra. All right, let's go over to the men's side for another title, the World Heavyweight Championship. We get Gunther, we get CM Punk after CM Punk won the gauntlet match 2 Raws ago. That was a wonderful gauntlet match. We got the return of the mighty OTC. We'll get to him later, but I am a OTC stan if nobody has figured that out in all these videos. Admittedly, no problem with that. But Gunther, Punk, I'm almost kind of disappointed it's a short build, and maybe this means they'll come. They'll connect again. I could see of a lot of the matches in this card. I feel like this match could almost get to a point of we cross this bridge again. Maybe not right away, but I'm hoping we cross this bridge again before Punk goes by. So I want to toss to Tyler first here, but just to kind of tease up Joe. I know Joe has a Punk update, state of the Punk, as we were talking before. He won't get to, so but we'll get to Tyler first. Tyler, your feelings here, and give us your pick.
Well, first of all, Dan, this is very unfair because Joe could be holding some very critical information that's going to make me look real stupid here in the next 30 seconds. So I appreciate that. Thank you. No.
Well, I mean, we could
obviously
always do State of the Punk and then go to the picks. Doesn't matter to me, I guess.
No, I'm kidding. I'm going to look dumb anyway, Dan. No matter what I say.
Well, I wasn't going to say that out loud, but if you're gonna fall the sword,
that's like my brand. That is, to use wrestling speak, that is my gimmick. Okay, my gimmick is to look dumb. That's okay. So here's what I think. A lot of things rolling around in my head, and with all of the matches that we're gonna inevitably go over, I do think this is the hardest for me to call, because really there is a argument to be made that both of these gentlemen should win, and there is one argument to be made that neither man should win this match. So here is what I am going to say. If you have to, if I have to pick one of these two gentlemen that has to win clean as a whistle, that's it. Bar none. They're leaving the show as World Heavyweight Champion. Monday Night Raw, they're going to be champ 2 nights later or a night later. I don't know if they're which one is wrestling on which day. I don't know. I'm picking Gunther because that makes the most sense in terms of if you are going to just continue to go along the straight and narrow path. But I also think that we are being rused. Okay? Let me ask you both you fine gentlemen a question. When is the last time you saw somebody have a major catastrophic knee injury and 2.5 weeks later, by the time we get to the show, 3 weeks later, still not have any imaging on that knee and no definitive updates besides I'm going to be out a while? It's really not great. I'm kind of injured. Never. The answer is never. That has never happened in the history of wrestling. It is always the night after, the day or the night it happens, the day after, 2 or 3 days later. The fact that Seth Rollins has had to make an excuse, hey, there's too much swelling, we're going to wait 2.5 weeks. Convenient. That's when SummerSlam is. I think we're being rused. And so, therefore, bold statement, probably going to be completely wrong here. The person that is leaving SummerSlam as World Heavyweight Champion is Seth freaking Rollins. Bookmark it.
All right, Joe. Let's toss you.
I said, I'm dumb. That's my gimmick.
Let's toss to Joe for the State of the Punk now.
So that's a great point. I hadn't even really considered that. And frankly, to be honest with you, in this new era of, I call it the new era, right? The modernness of H, right? I mean, when you spend when you spend like 20, 25 years with Vince McMahon, after a while, maybe it's just by nature of time, things get predictable. But so I'm glad you mentioned that, Tyler, because the aspect of the knee imaging, injury facade, it really reminds me of what happened not that long ago. It's the R-Truth thing. We'll know maybe on his deathbed, but as time goes on, it does suggest that R-Truth never released. They wanted to make you think he was released. Obviously, there's arguments for the other side that he actually was. They realized that how big of a mistake that was. I choose to believe it was just incredibly unique storytelling. They truly, when you run the table like pro wrestling, where it's not like sports, you can do whatever you want. And I think just kind of come around to that idea where they're like, hey, let's just say we're releasing Truth and it'll make his return that much cooler. So anyways, that being said, why not fake a Rollins. The history is there. People would buy it. When it happened, the IWC, which we all follow, whether you like it or not, if you're on Twitter, you're going to see that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get swayed in a matter of seconds that, oh, yeah, Seth, another knee injury from Seth. Like, without giving much thought, totally believable. You wouldn't even hesitate to counter it. It's sense. It's just, it's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the stigma that he has. He's a deteriorating athlete. So you know what? To be honest with you, I completely agree with you. I think that's what's going to happen. I think he's injured. I mean, maybe there's some truth that he is injured to some degree. I don't think he tore his ACL. I think I think he might be injured, but it's not as severe as we think it is. So I could totally buy that. I think, and it plays right into the hands of, I will never allow Punk to become champion. Even though it is drawn out, Punk and Rollins, it still makes sense. Like, even if you're annoyed with that storyline, man, like, just can't seem to find anybody else for Punk, huh? Like, it's just these two. If that were to happen, Slam, you'd be like, damn, like, they got me. Like I'm into it. Like I'm here for it. Like, that's a cool way to kind of keep the storyline going. So that being said, I like that. I like that theory a lot, that he's going to cash in, because I like the idea of, I think without context, without booking, CM Punk versus Gunther at SummerSlam, that's a big name match. That'll, even if you didn't watch Raw or SmackDown leading up to it, if you saw that on a graphic, you're like, okay, like, that's cool. Like, good for Gunther. It's his first legitimate match. He went from a commentator to Jey Uso. Like, this is his first big, significant opponent, by name at least, in a little while. And it should be that way. Gunther is the future of pro wrestling, and they kind of treat him so weirdly, lately at least. So I'm excited for that aspect. And it's a good transition. As Dan mentioned, it's the state of the Punk. I have a qualm. I have an itch. I have a need to express some opinion, if you'll let me, if you'll indulge me. So I'll keep it as brief as I can. The thing that makes him great is 2011, his time in AEW. It's this persona of, I don't need a teleprompter, I don't need a script, I'm going to throw it out, I'm going to speak to you face to face. And there was this aura about Punk for a long time that he was just very relatable, very believable. The things he said were so like, no, he's telling it how it is. Like, and even in an industry like pro wrestling where it's fake, it didn't feel fake. And that's a gift, right? Not a lot of guys have been able to do that. And that's what kind of I gravitated towards. Like, it made me question, like, if any time you're watching pro wrestling and you're like, I don't know if this is a work or not, they're doing the right thing. Like, that's the peak product right there, whether it's a promo or an injury or a match of any kind. So that's what made him great. So in AEW, he was given that free range to do that because they're a different company, right? They don't spend a lot of time writing promos. They kind of leave it to the talent. And it might be their downfall in the future. Like, things that are supposed to be works are actually shoots. It's kind of the reason he got fired. Things got legitimately personal. But my point is when he first joined WWE, when he returned, I'm losing track now. I think November of 23, I think that was. I had a very small fear that I was like, hey, I'm really excited. That was a cool return. He's going to sell a lot of t-shirts. He's going to build the product. And sure enough, he has, right? There was a fear I had at the time when it first started where, oh, it just dawned on me. He might become PG Punk. Like, they might find a way to turn him into the modern Cena where it's, I'm so happy to be in this town. Enter name of town. I love being in name of town. Like, you know what I mean? Like, very. So it didn't happen for a while. The initial feud with McIntyre, he was dropping swear words. He was part of that initial group like The Rock where they were given the pass to do it without getting in trouble. it felt very on par with his character and what he was doing. In recent months, the tide has shifted, my friends. I'm very upset to admit that he isn't the voice of the voiceless anymore. Cena said it perfectly. You're a friggin' millionaire. He reads the script given to him. He's contradicted himself multiple times in recent promos. He started off with, "I'm here to make money, not friends." Now all of a sudden, he's from week to week, he's saying things like, I've always wanted to win the world title, but there's been distractions. The next week, he's like, "I didn't want to win the world title. I just want," like, he's kind of a little all over the place in recent weeks. And his promos aren't as electric as they used to be. They're very vanilla. He still has a lot of character, like a lot of charm and a lot of charisma, but there's a lack of soul. He feels very robotic. And I was worried about that. And now it's starting to kind of rear its ugly head a little bit. So I don't know, like when it comes to I'll try to bring it back around, the Gunther match. It wouldn't shock me if he lost. If Gunther won, then Rollins cashes in. It would make more sense if he won, then Rollins cashes in for the rivalry's sake. But in AEW, when he won the world title, it felt forced. Like, and this is coming from a Punk fan. I was like, why are they like making this 47-year-old man the champion who breaks his leg every other week? Whereas now it's like Gunther is the easiest person to have as champion. Why are they giving it to CM Punk? It feels a lot like that. As great as Punk is at selling stuff and being a draw and crowd pops, he's not the world champion. He doesn't need that. It's kind of like Becky. Becky doesn't need that title, but they give it to her anyways. So you don't gain anything from Punk being champion. It would be cool if he, to your point, Tyler, wins just for Rollins to cash in. That would be a cool thing. It's like, oh, he technically won, but it only fuels this rivalry. But by doing that, you also eliminate Gunther. The attention shifts from Gunther to, Rollins cashed in on Punk. Now it's their rivalry. What do you do with Gunther after that? So to your point, just follow the straight and narrow. Gunther makes all the sense in the world. You can do whatever you want with him as champion. So it's a weird conundrum. And I tried my best to wrap those two thoughts together, but not sure your guys' take on that. Wondering kind of if you feel the same. But PG Punk, man, MJF was kind of the first to point it out. He's like, you're not CM Punk, you're PG Punk, man. Insert name of city. Insert happy to be here. There's no depth. There's no soul. So that's my take on it, man. That's the state of the Punk.
I definitely want Tyler's thought on that, but I mean, I'm with you there from this respect of like the passion. I wasn't really watching WWE. I think I said it before, when Punk was really at his prime, at his height, like you guys were, and when he came back, a lot of people are like, "That's what we got. We got that prime Punk again." But I'm with you. I'm kind of like the last couple months when Punk's come out for a promo. Why I would call it, the fire hasn't been there for him that we saw during the McIntyre feud, before that feud, after that feud, with Seth at the beginning of this year. Like, that fire just hasn't quite been there. I personally wonder, is that on purpose? As we think about it, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but maybe that helped build the feud with Cena, because they were pretty much polar opposites, as a lot of people pointed out. I think we kind of talked about, but yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't. The fire has seemed to kind of been smoldered quite a lot in the last couple months with Punk's promos.
I don't feel the same way. I definitely could see the the last few weeks haven't been great. Personally, the only thing that I have liked about John Cena's final year so far has been his feud with Punk. Has been those promos back and forth where they obviously played off each other's career. Now, was the rap itself that CM Punk did against John Cena the greatest ever? No.
Yeah.
But who gives a rip? Like, at that point, CM Punk came out and dressed as John Cena and made fun of him. That was the point. It didn't matter the specific words he used. It was the point. It was overall what exactly he did that mattered. So to me, I think it's mainly just right now for me, he's kind of stuck in a weird limbo of he is so very clearly better than most of the people that he's going to be in the ring with and on the mic with. And he also is trying to be a good company man, which, let's be honest, Joe, you and I know better than anybody else. He has never, ever wanted to be that in his entire life until he came back to WWE. This is the first time that he's ever tried to be a good company man. When he was in Ring of Honor, he wasn't. When he was in AEW,
Right. And
So
I think, and just to throw in a thought there, that's a perfect way of wording it. I think that's subconsciously part of why I think what I think, because at his core, like at the true core, he's best when he's not a company man, when he's, I dare I say, he's being himself as a human being. That's just who he is, you know. And as much as I love him, yeah, we've heard plenty of backstage stories. He's kind of a you know, he's kind of a bad dude, like, you know, for lack of a swear word I could throw in there, but, you know, but he's just, you know, my point is I think the fact that he knows this is his last stop, he knows that if he plays his cards right, he will be in the WWE Hall of Fame. He'll eventually take over for Shawn Michaels. He has to keep up this image of I'm good guy Punk. I have to. Otherwise, he's going to be out of a job and he'll not be in the Hall of Fame. And he needs this. He literally needs this, not financially, but image wise. He needs to be good guy Punk. And subconsciously, it impacts his fiery promos a little bit.
and perhaps that is true. But here's what I will say. I do want to talk, and I know we're not wanting to hang around on a lot of these questions, Dan, very long, but this is a unique scenario here that hopefully won't repeat over and over again in this pod. But you did mention one thing, and it was, what do you do with Gunther after this if he loses this match? And even not broader than that, but parallel to that, you also said if Gunther loses, the spotlight goes off of him. Now, to me, if the way he loses is Punk wins, Seth cashes in, then you've got that story, and then Gunther is kind of then that to me is actually okay. But if it's just straight up Punk beats him and then nothing else happens, then it gets a little murky. So let's assume that it's the second, or excuse me, let's assume that it's the first one where Seth cashes in and this whole thing, you know, kind of goes off the rails. I actually would be in favor of that, because you've mentioned that you think that kind of the fans aren't responding as well to Punk as they have in the past, and it's not been, you know, maybe he's getting a little bit stale as a character. I actually would argue that the person that's getting a little stale as a character is Gunther in terms of the crowds. I actually think that people are getting a little bit tired and a little bit bored with Gunther, who is on the mic fine, and as a character fine, but nothing's ever going to happen where he's never going to say anything unbelievable and make these amazing promos. It's never going to happen. He's never going to have these unbelievable, amazing character moments anymore. We've seen him get to the tippity top of the company, and he's not going anywhere from there. So to me, I actually think it might benefit Gunther to lose this match, go away for a few months, pop up on SmackDown and feud with Cody, feud with Jacob Fatu, feud with some other guys on SmackDown that may actually be able to reinvigorate his character and reinvigorate that just like killer that we know he can be, and work his way back up, than just stay where he is right now indefinitely over and over again, forever and ever. Amen. I think that actually might benefit him. Now, if they just do what they did at, you know, WrestleMania, which I actually argued for this exact same thing to happen for when he lost to Jay at WrestleMania, for him to go away, then come back on SmackDown and then feud with Cody when he wins the belt at SummerSlam. That's what I argued. And they're just going to throw him in another feud with Wade Barrett. Then I'm just going to, you know, cry a little. And, you know, if they just bring him right back out and then have him be in a nothing feud for no one ever, then it was all for naught. But I think if you actually have him go away for a while and then come back kind of with more hype around him and build him back up again, then you at least buy yourself a little bit more time. You buy yourself another year and a half of this character, and then you can decide what to do from there. Now, I've told a story in my John Cena booking of how I would do that. he becomes a spoiled brat, not because he is an actual spoiled brat, although his character is a bit of a spoiled brat, but because he's so wrapped up in his own doubt and it's coming out as spoiled. He's like denying that he can lose. Like he's like, no, I'm the ring general. Nobody's better than me. But then something happens where, okay, now he can't deny it anymore. And then he goes away and then he comes back. You know, like that you can play that game with him.
That's a lot like Evolution era Triple H, where he was such a good heel, but at the same token, it was like, hey, he's undeniable. He wins every match, and by the end of most of those matches that were wars, you're like, yeah, no, you know.
Yep. Yeah. And then when inevitably Batista takes that crown from him, beats him in a rematch, beats him in another rematch, it's clear that Triple H is just not better than Batista. They didn't just throw Triple H back out there the next week to face Goldust. No offense to Goldust, but, you know, they took him off TV for a while. And then they brought him back with a whole different look and a whole different vibe to him and a whole, right? Like, they didn't just throw him back out there for no reason. There's ebbs and flows to characters. There's rebranding. There's obviously like what Chris Jericho has done. He's reinvented himself over and over and over and over again while still being Chris Jericho. You can do that with Gunther and extend his main event career by 4 or 5 more years. And I'm not saying you have to do that right now. If he wins, like I'm saying, if he beats Punk straight up, he comes out, that's fine. I don't think anybody's really gonna like be super upset about that. Although I'm sure there's some hardcore Punk stands that will be upset about it, which is fine. But you know, if you have to go all the way to WrestleMania again to have it happen, or whatever it is, that's fine. But eventually, you're going to have to change Gunther's character, because if you're I know I've said this on the pod before, and I know I've said this to you, Dan, before, but I have to reiterate it. If your entire gimmick is I'm really good at being a champion, well, then when you're not champion, you don't have anything. You need to have other things that make people care about you, which is why, again, in my booking, which is coming out August 8th, by the way, you know, I told the story of why we care about Gunther when he doesn't have a championship for at least a couple months, or for at least 5 months, 6 months. It doesn't have to be forever that he's not champion again, but for those few months, why should I care about Gunther? And then when he comes back, you go, oh crap. I forgot that Gunther's not just some spoiled brat. He's going to murder everyone's family, right? Like, you can tell that story. But anyway, but I do understand where you're coming from about Punk. His promos have been a bit stale the last couple of weeks. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm going to kind of take a weird middle road here, too. I really appreciate y'all's insight here, especially regarding Punk. You know, I think it's great. I really do. I know we won't... You know, there's a lot of matches that don't have as much depth as this match has between just these two characters without having the rivalry between these two characters. This summer has been filled with a lot of events, as we've seen, probably too many, and that's hurt this rivalry. But that's why I'm kind of hoping this kind of rivalry gets we have another chapter or two, in this rivalry. And my reasoning behind that is also going back to I think what Joe said, but I think we all are aware of, Seth has said he will never let Punk be a champion. And I don't think Seth is going to cash in. I sort of believe the ruse. I'm kind of with you. Yeah, we're probably getting played a little bit, kind of like the R-Truth situation, but I'm kind of buying into it a little bit. So I feel like you can kind of take a middle ground here of Seth doesn't want them, so he's going to command the Bronze. He's going to command them, go out if it looks like Punk's going to win, go out there. Breaker can distract the ref. Braun can run around the ring 3 times and hit, a 50-mile-an-hour spear on Punk. Punk, spear him out of his shoes, and they throw him back in the ring. Ref has no clue, and Gunther retains the championship. So that's my way of doing it without really having to ruin the cash-in just yet. But it still gets Seth's objective accomplished, because these are all main event players still. They will remain main event players, and Gunther can go on to other feuds. And I'm very curious what you guys actually think of that too. So Tyler.
I just want to point out that it's very now. Obviously, the characters are different, right? But in my John Cena booking at this SummerSlam that's happening, this weekend, I had Gunther in a World Heavyweight Championship match going into the match as champion, and in the middle of the match, the person who had the Money in the Bank contract cashing in and not pinning Gunther and taking the title away. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
I'm just saying it could happen. I'm saying Seth could do it again. Triple threat, stomp Punk, 1, 2, 3. Gunther loses his belt.
Yep.
I'm just saying I could get it right, except the characters are wrong.
Yeah.
The character people did it wrong.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
So everybody tune in to when he
right.
releases his Cena booking. We did Tyler and I did episodes at the beginning of the year about that, and Tyler's just putting his whole thing together as one big video. So check that out. I can't wait for them to release that there. But to move on to our rest of our card, I think so. I think straight up we all are kind of picking Gunther here, but Tyler, you're calling a cash in from Seth.
Yes.
And Joe, you're just calling straight up Gunther win here then?
Yes. Yes. I promise I won't spend too much time on it.
You're fine.
Wins. I think Gunther wins. I think we get the same calamity equivalent of a cash-in, but without the actual cash-in. So I think the same emotions will be evoked, the same motions will go through. So factor in every cash-in you've ever seen, the like on your edge of your seat, but it'll be like they'll tease it, right? He'll go in, give it to the ref, think about it for a second, pull back, like they'll tease the cash-in, but he won't actually cash in, so you'll get the same kind of emotion. Mm-hmm. So it'll be like, so Gunther will win regardless of the actual cash-in, but leaving that match on your mind, you'll be like, he still has the briefcase, and he can keep doing what we just saw, where is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Is he going to do it? But this will be he won't actually use it, but the tool of the briefcase will come into play.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I think we're all, I think I like where we're kind of all headed with this. I think what's great about this match is, despite the little bit of build, there's just so many ways this can play out, especially because it's such part of it's such a main part of WWE right now. So I'm very looking forward to seeing what this match is. I wouldn't be surprised, and maybe I even saw a rumor that it might be the main event of night one. It should be, honestly. All right, well, after a great discussion there, let's jump back over to the women's side. We will stay at the main title scene, WWE Women's Championship, that match between Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill. Joe, I'll just jump right to you first. Some brief thoughts on this match, and who do you picking as winner here?
Yeah, so this is a fine match. I think Jade is an interesting character because she's been in the company probably about 2 years now. Time flies. It could be even longer than that, from what I remember. It might just be because I'm such an AEW fan. I remember her so much in AEW and how dominant she was. It really is different. And it's not a knock on WWE. It goes both ways. There's some people that flourish in one company and don't flourish so much in the other. It goes vice versa. It feels like she still hasn't found her character in this new company that she's in. And it's been quite a while. The tag division that she was in, I thought was really good for her. And just helped her grow a little, and it was different, being a part of a tag division rather than solo. In my opinion, and like pro wrestling, there's a million avenues you can go down. They have to choose one of them. She's so physically gifted, maybe not literal wrestling skills, but she's such a specimen that it feels weird that she's not at the top, of the women's division, like she was in AEW. But it's like it's apples and oranges, I should say. It's hard to compare the two. I hope this is the start of something really big for her. Putting her up with Tiffany is a really good idea because of the status Tiffany has. I hope she comes out on top, Jade, just for the sake of her character and her growth, climbing the ranks of that women's division. The match itself as a whole, I'll be honest with you, don't care so much for the build of it. It's one of those matches to me where it's like, I don't need to see the build. It's if I just saw the match, I'd be happy with that. Sure. I think they need to do more of that in wrestling in general. You don't need to build for everything. It's okay to just put these two in a match. It's fine. But I get it. You got to fill TV time, so I get it. No questions about that. That's sort of my take on it. It's very bland, but I hope the best for Jade because Tiffany's kind of already made it, right? She's like a peg above Valkeria, where she went through that 2 years ago. She's made it to that next level. She's not Becky, but she's in that rising star category, and I hope the same for Jade. So that's kind of my take on it.
So is Jade your pick there then?
Yes. As weird as it's so I hate to make it even more confusing than it needs to be. I think Tiffany wins. For being honest, I think Tiffany wins. I hope Jade wins, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's I kind of like your point, honestly, of we don't always have to have a build. I think we're so used to the Bloodline story, the Judgment Day story, the Becky Lyra Valkeria story, that now we expect builds for every match, and that's not always necessary. We can have the match, and then you can build if you want to explore that, or you can come back to it. That's my feelings there. Jade won Queen of the Ring. Naomi had the cash in, and she cashed in on the other title, much to everybody's surprise. Well, and I think that's great. I honestly do. I think that's great for the contract, Money in the Bank contract. I think that's great for Naomi. And that she's and to me, it's like we're taking Naomi in a different direction now. So I think they're going to take Jade in a different direction. I think this makes it easier to pick Jade, and my pick is actually Jade here as well to take the title. Again, physical specimen. There's no reason she shouldn't be a champion at some point, and I'm kind of hoping that if they're pushing her through Queen of the Ring the way they did, because they could have taken a lot of the people, Charlotte, comes to mind there, but a lot of other people there. To me, that's like they're saying, especially with Naomi now having cashed in, I think it's Jade, and I'm going with Jade there myself.
So I'm picking Tiffany Stratton here, and I actually don't even find this to be a particularly difficult choice, at least for me. And here's my reasons why. I completely agree with what Joe said about the juxtaposition between what Jade did in AEW and the kind of dominant run that she had there and what she has not necessarily done in WWE so far. Now, she obviously hasn't had very many chances to do a whole lot on her own in the WWE. The majority of the time that she would have been on her own, she obviously was off, injured, or doing whatever. I don't know. I don't really know if it ever became clear why she was away for so long, if there was an injury there, or if there was something else going on, or a movie or projects, or I don't know. But anyway, so here's the important thing that I think we don't necessarily talk about in terms of Jade's run with AEW. That, what was it, like 400 something days being undefeated or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly. She did not do that with the AEW Women's Championship. She did it with a secondary Women's Championship, right? So still impressive. I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to say that it means nothing or anything like that. I'm just saying, as dominant as she was, she didn't do it at the top of the card. So I think that the people, and I'm throwing myself in the same bag too, that just sit there and say Jade should instantly be shoved right to the top of the card and be an instant world champion and stay there for, 15 years right now. I actually don't think she's ready for that. I don't think she was ready for that in AEW, and I think that's why they let her go, because they envisioned her getting there quicker than she did, but they also didn't do anything to help her train or do anything like that to actually help her get better. And so she left to go to a place where she actually could train and, get better at those things. And also, as Joe pointed out, flesh out her character, which she also hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities to do. So for me, I actually think the better path for Jade right now is lose to Tiffany Stratton here, have her nice blow-off feud with I'm on my own against the wall. I don't know where I went, but I'm coming back, mirror, mirror on the wall. Like, you can have her nice feud with Bianca Belair, hopefully come out on top of that, and use that as a way to get into the Women's United States Championship ring, beat Julia or whomever may have that championship at that time, and then that's when she goes on a super long title run where, man, you've got to find somebody that's real freaking good to come up and beat Jade Cargill for this. I mean, the fact that it was like Gunther with the Intercontinental Championship. Like, hopefully after 6 months, a year, however long it's going to be of Jade having that title and beating everybody, people are going to start to go, my God, if only she was competing for world championships. She could probably beat whoever's the world champion right now, and she's this secondary. I think that makes more sense for me for Jade, because that also buys you another year, year and a half, 2 years maybe even, depending on how long you want to go with, the personal feuds, and then how long it would take to go from secondary to world title, to where she can continue to get better, continue to flesh out the character, continue to cut promos and have good matches, get better in the ring, do all this stuff that we talk about. So I think that makes the most sense. So I think for me, the prediction is going to be, obviously, again, Tiffany Stratton winning. And I think this is where you get that Bianca Belair return right here, and that Bianca Belair heel turn. Good Lord, that was hard to say for some reason. And then you'll have, obviously, maybe Jade takes a month off of TV and then comes back, and, it's a whole thing. Or maybe they jump right into it. I don't know. But I think that's where you're going to get to it. And honestly, I could see it going until WrestleMania. And I know that is a bananas long time, but I could see it because, what else? What better story do you have for Jade than that right now? You don't have any. Yeah, and then, or maybe she conquers Jade and then beats Naomi at WrestleMania for a secondary championship if Naomi loses before then. Or I don't know what you do, but the point is that that's what I think's happening. I'm taking Tiffany here.
Gotcha. Honestly, I like that a lot too, because we don't have many women around the women's U.S. title. We have 4 titles on the women's side now.
We literally have 0. Dan.
Yeah.
We have 1. Julia, who has the belt. That is the only one. There is no other one.
Yeah, because
has she been on TV? Has she been on TV?
No, I don't think she's been on. I don't think she's been on TV since she's won the title.
No, because the only person that was around is Zelina Vega, and she hasn't been on TV either. So that means Julia gets to sit her butt at home and just hold the belt going, man, I wish I could do something. Man, I was just in a women's division with 958 women gunning after me, and now I have 0. This sucks. Like,
bear with me on this analogy, this cross sports analogy. To your point about Jade and how, she was the dominant champ of the 2nd tier title, and that was kind of seemingly her peak. There's nothing wrong with being a career wide receiver too.
Agreed. I'm not saying that it was bad at all. I'm just saying that I think the people that took that and went, oh my God, she was so dominant in AEW, she should immediately win the world title right now. Now, I also said that. I threw myself in there because I was also one of those people that kind of got caught up in the excitement and said that. So I am calling myself out as well. But it's just more of that, like, I don't think she needs to win the world title right now. I actually don't think she should win the world title right now after having some time to reflect upon the lay of the land, and also just working in NXT every single week and seeing how amazing this women's division is. Like, dude, if Jade wins the world title in 3 years, it ain't going to matter, because this women's division is stacked to the gills, and it's just going to keep on getting better. And it's just like, no offense to like the Ivy Niles of the world or like the Meachins of the world, because they have their place, but in 2 years, like, what are they going to be doing? I mean, they don't have it compared to 90% of this women's roster in NXT, or the new crew that just came up, the Roxanne Perez's, or the Julias, or the Stephanies, or the. I mean, it's just going to get so crowded. Like, those poor girls are not going to have much to do.
Yeah,
or the B-Fabs of the world.
I mean, like, and I think that that's the reason. I think there's the reason of why they probably created those 2 titles, why they created the North American title for the women as well.
Oh, for sure.
It's just a matter of, it's almost like they created it and it's like, just, hey, wait. Kind of like how I say all the time of, Just wait for this to play out. We'll be fine. It's kind of like that with
Their only
US
their
title.
only hope is that Shawn Michaels dies and stops producing these unbelievable talents.
Oh God, no! Please don't.
We
die,
don't want to
Sean,
lose Sean
please.
yet.
all
We don't
love
want to
you.
lose Sean yet. But
Good
I
Lord.
get the point. I
Love
get the
that
point.
guy.
Let's move it on to the men's Intercontinental Championship. We finally get Dominic, Mysterio, and AJ Styles, and I've loved what AJ Styles has been doing. Like AJ is, I think, funnier than people give him credit for. I love
Been
AJ as a
great.
face. AJ heel does not work for me. I've always liked AJ. He's one of the people that got me back into wrestling when he came to WWE. I need to sit down and watch YouTube matches of him and TNA just like crazy, just because I know that's where he's better known for. But I've liked his WWE stuff. I'm liking him as a face. So let's get to this. Tyler, where you calling here for your winner here between Dominic and AJ?
Yeah, so I will say very briefly, I didn't have much hope for this feud when it started, fellas. I really didn't. I just thought it was going to be another, guy who's good at wrestling yells at the guy who's really bad at wrestling because he's bad at wrestling, and then he somehow loses to the guy who's bad at wrestling, and then we all just move on with our lives. That's kind of what it seemed like it was going to be. But then AJ got down on his hands and knees and started very, very, very passionately praying to God that that Dom would be cleared, and I instantly was like, okay, that's actually pretty funny. This is good. I'm enjoying this now. I see where they're going with this. And then obviously he took it to a new level last week with dressing up with all those different jobs and stuff and, following Dom around. I thought that was great. And just for that, that man should be rewarded. I'm going with the phenomenal AJ Styles to win the Intercontinental Championship right here, and then to very quickly be murdered by Bronson Reed, who will take the IC title from his aging corpse. So that's how I'm going to go with that.
All right, Joe, want to follow that
Sorry,
one up?
AJ, I love you. It's not your fault. It's just I big.
No, I think so. The beauty with AJ is he's an old school head, right? So that whole thing this past Monday with the different characters, it was very 2005 Raw, right? It was very gimmicky on purpose. It was very breath of fresh air, funny comedy. You don't really see that as much anymore. It was nice, and only he could pull that off because of the persona that he has. He's serious enough to be serious, but he's also AJ, and he's goofy, and he can do stuff like that. I do think, on a somewhat unrelated note, but also related, it was criminal what they did to Dom. He was red hot after WrestleMania, and it almost feels like he was in the Bill Belichick doghouse for the last 2 months. It was like, no, you can't run back to the ring and celebrate because you realized the crowd was into you and climb the top turnbuckle. And it almost felt like they were punishing him a little bit. So it could go one of two ways, right? The one direction is that Dom wins, and it's what we saw at Mania, where it's the crowd gets behind him, and it's the start of his true mega push. Going from a 85 overall to a 93 overall, and I hope this happens. I hope you give it to AJ. It feels like one of those matches where you reward the veteran and you just say, screw it. We'll make him the Intercontinental Champion. Why not? It's AJ Styles. He's making appearances on TNA again. He's going to help us with our TNA crowd. So the timing is right. The timing makes the most sense for AJ. But at the same time, I think people are ready to feel Dom out. And what's funny is I'll say this, and I hope it doesn't spark a giant CM Punk-esque debate, discussion, I should say, but I think it's very hard to turn people heel in modern WWE. Fans like people, and they've decided that they like them. So turning Dom, like, even though people boo Dom out of the building, it's like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We actually like him kind of thing. They tried to turn John Cena heel, and yeah, he's a heel by its definition because they boo him, but they're not actually booing him. He's not really a heel. It's if they tried to turn Cody heel, it'd be really hard, really hard.
We,
Um,
We will get to that.
So I just think
Oh,
it's
no.
very difficult to turn people heel because fans have decided no, we like him, so we'll play along with your little game. We'll boo him, but they're not actually booing them. So I think with Dom it's tough to do that. People want to actually cheer for him.
I think we're in this weird, and so you're picking AJ here then. So just to record, just to note it. I like tally up. No, I think
I'll pick
we're
AJ.
yeah. I'm actually. I'll get to who I'm picking in a second. I think we're in this weird era. I tried to say this into an episode the other that I did the other week, and I had a hard time explaining it, but I feel like you probably I think kind of got to where I was trying to go with it. Joe was people like who they're gonna like. People want to like who they're gonna like. They're not going to yeah, they'll play the game, but if they like them, they're gonna like them. Like we hear Seth Rollins, they sing his song, but once he mentions someone they like a
Yeah,
little bit more
I'm
than
sorry.
him, they boo
Yes,
Seth and cheer the other
exactly.
guy. They did the same to
He's
Breaker.
not a heel.
Yeah.
He's a heel because he has Paul Heyman. That's what makes him a heel. If it wasn't for Heyman, they would still be. They sing the song. Like
Yep.
he's not a heel.
Yeah.
If CM Punk turned heel, he would not be a heel.
Oh God,
Like
no.
it's hard. It's hard to make people.
That's
a
why
heel.
he would just be CM Punk.
Yeah,
It's hard to make people a heel.
I feel like there's very few true heel. I mean, even Drew McIntyre falls in that where it's like people cheer for him, people love his music, but he acts heel more almost than most anybody on the roster. And I think we're in like I like to call like yeah. I think we're in like a catchphrase era where it's everybody wants to sing the songs of every wrestler because they're catchy. They like the catchphrases, and the more catchphrases you have, the more yeets you have. The more you're gonna, the more you're gonna do things. I had to get in here, Tyler. Give me a break. I hadn't gotten in yet today, but it's it's the reason behind decisions sometimes, and it's I like to dub like the last 2.5 years more of the catchphrase era, not necessarily the Roman era or Empire or the Cody era or Triple H era. It's they've all been a part of. We love these people's songs. We love these people's catchphrases. So I think.
And there is something. It's a deeper discussion. We'll save for another day, but there is something sad about that. Like from a purist standpoint, like it's like, come on, guys. Like it almost suggests it's a dumber audience. It's like I'm just here to see Jay. I don't care what I just want like it speaks to a fundamental we're thankful you're playing the game. Thank you for TV purposes, for merch purposes, but we're trying to tell a story and you're not letting us.
Yeah. No, I feel like that could be a very separate discussion. All that to be said, I'm going against you guys here. I'm picking Dominic. As much as I like AJ, I feel AJ is going to be attacked by Karrion once Karrion destroys Sammy one more time. they tease up before between those two, and I think we're getting a very, very slow burn on Karrion. And I think that Styles is gonna be queued up next for him. And I wouldn't be. I guess I'm also picking Dom too because I feel they're gonna pull the trigger on seeing what they can do with him long term with the IC title. See if the fan base does actually like him. I feel like he's been, he was cheered after Mania, the Raw after Mania. He's kind of cheered here and there. Then they've gone back to the boos again, where I'm kind of like. I think Liv being out of the picture probably helps him with the crowd more. I'm very curious to see where it goes, and I think that's where WWE's going to, of seeing where they can go with a Dominic title run on the IC title. Right. So you guys for AJ, I'll go for Dom. Let's move on back to the women's side. Move on to the triple threat for the women's world championship: Naomi, Io, and Rhea. How are we feeling about this match, Joe? I'll kick it to you first here.
So I will be honest with you. I'm slightly out of the loop with that rivalry. It's not to say I'm not aware of it. But it's funny. I'll follow what I just set up with it was cool that Naomi cashed in, right? Anytime a cash in with a talent that's never won a world title cashes in and wins, it's cool. It's just innately cool. It is what it is. The problem with Naomi is like I feel like there's a list of talent above her that were I'm not gonna say more worthy. Naomi's not a living room name or even remotely close, even in the wrestling community. So it's weird that it almost felt like, you know what a comparison is? Do you remember when Nikki Cross went on that 2020? It was so 2020 when she went on the superhero character
Yes.
Yeah.
and she won the world title, and we were all like, "Wow, this was fun," but this is like the equivalent of Goldust winning the world title. Like it's a character. It's not a.
Yeah.
It feels like that, where it's like, "Oh, I didn't think they would actually do it." I like so. My point is it's not gonna last long. It feels kind of like Jey Uso, where it's fun, it's cool, it's different. She's funny on social media. It doesn't have a strong staying power. Um, so I'll be honest with you. I just missed the first part of what you said, Daniel. I don't even know who she's facing, and it's
Yeah.
not because
Yeah.
I'm ignorant and I'm like I don't care. I don't know. I haven't. It's just it's such a small. It's even lower than Valkyrie and Becky in terms of wanting to care about it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I understand
so
that, everybody's got their, everybody's got different. I think that's what's great about wrestling. Everybody's got their different pacing with different people, different matches. But it's Naomi, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley because she cashed
okay,
in.
all right,
I think she pulled the
all
Seth
right,
Rollins cash in
all right.
at the Evolution.
So that being said, Rhea and Io are the other two opponents. Not a. It would be very WWE of her to win because then it's like, oh, I didn't expect her to win, and what a great Triple H writing. I had no idea, and she turns out she won. But with those two other characters in the ring, how do you like unless they're trying to build her, which I hope they are for the sake of building? How does Rhea or Io not walk out of that as champion? Logically speaking, but to turn the tables, why not keep the belt on Naomi? It keeps it interesting. I can see both sides. I'm gonna go Rhea just because they've made it clear she's. If you have eyes, you can understand she's the future of the whole company. So I'll go her. It's an obvious pick. It's probably if you were to do betting favorites, she's probably the favorite. But to my first point, Naomi, sadly, not anything against her. She has no business being in this position right this moment, other than it tying into Jade somehow.
No. All right, Tyler, throwing it to you here. Who are you taking? What's your solution to Joe's problem here?
Well, my solution is Naomi retains and then loses to Stephanie Vaquera in Clash of Paris.
How dare you steal my idea?
That is my
Yeah,
solution.
I like that though. That's a good one-on-one.
And here's the thing, right? I have been on the Stephanie Vaquera train since the very beginning. We all know this. It's not a secret. I actually had several people that I work with, tell me that they were 100% certain that Stephanie was going to win Money in the Bank. And it just was one of these things that, I know how much the people in NXT believe in her. I have never in my life heard a building so loud than when Stephanie just showed up on NXT a couple of weeks ago and cut a 1.5 minute promo. They went bananas when she showed back up. Now, I worked there. I knew she was there before she got there, but that's just a part of the job, right? You go into catering and you grab a water and, oh, hey, like it just happens, right? But I've never heard that building so loud. I don't know if I've ever heard any building so loud. And I was at the Rumble in 2024, right? So this is somebody who already has the crowd behind them. Clearly the company's behind them. It is just, it's, to me, it is the easiest thing in the world. You have a champion who, if she loses, let's be honest, no one is worse for the wiser. No one's going to particularly be like, no, they're burying Naomi. No one cares. I don't think Naomi cares if Naomi loses. Like, genuinely, no one's going to care. Whereas Io, If you have Io lose to Stephanie Vaquer, there's going to be people that are upset about that. If you have Rhea get the title and lose to Stephanie, people are going to be upset about that. If Naomi loses to Stephanie, cool. Like, it is a beatable champion. Pull the trigger. Move Rhea Ripley over to SmackDown because, my God, if I have to see Rhea Ripley fight for the World Championship one more bloody time, and yes, I say bloody because she's Rhea Bloody Ripley, I'm going to lose my mind. I was talking to my... Okay, I'm going to go on a slight, 30-second tangent here, Dan. I'm sorry, but I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and I promised 30 seconds. And I was telling her, I'm like, I would just love for Rhea to have a feud where she's not going after the championship for a month. Can I just have a month where she's not going after the belt? For God's sakes, please.
Yeah.
It's driving me nuts. I don't care if you go after the other belt. Go after Tiffany for all I care. Just please, no, I can't. I need other people in this world title feud. So have Stephanie win it. Do Io Sky versus Stephanie, which is what everybody wants for the World Championship. Have Stephanie retain, then have Rhea move to SmackDown. Let Rhea beat Tiffany. It's not going to hurt Tiffany if she loses to Rhea because she's Rhea Ripley. It's gonna be fine. Tiffany's gonna be just fine if she loses to Rhea. And then in a year and a half, when Rhea's still champion, you can have her lose to Jade, and it makes Jade look like an absolute monster, and it's gonna be awesome. Look, there you go. Everybody's happy now. So to me, that's the way I would do it. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now, Dan. If they do Naomi versus Stephanie, and Stephanie Vaquer loses clean to Naomi, I'm going to take one of those razor blades and I'm going to do something very irresponsible with one of those stupid razor blades that she has all over her freaking costumes now. I'm going to lose my mind. It's not going to be good for anybody. I'll let you figure out what I'm talking about. I'll let anybody...
Let's not get too dark here, Tyler. Let's not get too dark here now.
I'm going to lose my mind. Because there's no reason why you would not pull the trigger on Stephanie Vaquer in that instance. Again, if it's Io, I understand. If it's Rhea, I understand. If she's going after Tiffany, I understand if she loses. But not if it's Naomi. If it's Naomi, there's no reason why she should be losing.
Yeah.
That's your solution.
You kind of stole my idea, and I come from the perspective of part of some, like you and I just discussing Stephanie separately from the podcast, but to me it's like you don't take someone like Stephanie as big as she is. I mean, she got 2 main roster matches, I think that both ended in DQ, but she got 2 main roster matches right after Mania. Yeah. She got 2 main roster matches after Mania. She was in Money in the Bank, but you didn't put the briefcase on her. She was in Queen of the Ring, but you didn't put the crown on her. But she did get to be in the Battle Royal for a title shot at Evolution too. So it's like, as soon as she won that, it was like, this is the perfect time to put the title on her. And if it is Naomi, and it agreed, if you're going to put a title on Stephanie, it should be Naomi that retains here, so you can do exactly what you just said. So I'm 100% with Naomi here because I'm thinking long term again. Naomi's not bad as a champion. I think it's nice to put that. It's not to put that title on her, but she's kind of that interim champion, so you can put on someone like Stephanie, and you can really establish that women's division. Doesn't mean Naomi can't have a rematch. Obviously, we'll get Io and Stephanie at some point if this is how it plays out, because they've had 2 matches together and they both keep getting interrupted. We need one true match between these two. It's been great. The crowd has loved the matches between these two. So we need a full match between them. So I'm going Naomi as well here. All right, it's time to talk the United States Championship. And because Joe was just taking way too much time, we shoved him off. No, Joe had some other commitments too, so he can only help us with some of these picks. But we'll still list his picks as we go. He might make some pop-up appearances in the editing process here as well. So stay tuned for that. But it's always great to have Joe around. Sad I couldn't finish that with us live, but we'll have this pick still. United States Championship, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Steel Cage. Tyler, take it away.
Yeah, so this is one of those rare instances where I actually think the steel cage is reasonably appropriate. I don't think that this feud is quite at the Hell in a Cell territory, but I think considering it is, we got one guy who's all gas, no brakes with it, and just by his lonesome, and then you got one guy who is all Samoans and no Samoans with it. It's just, it makes the most sense
family
to
tree,
actually,
Tyler. My family tree. It's okay.
I'm sorry,
it
but
works.
it's just sorry. Hang on. It should be all Samoans and no Tongans, or all Tongans and no Samoans, or whichever one of those makes the most sense.
All Tongans.
I actually think it makes sense, the steel cage in this context, because he's obviously going to keep all the Tongans and all of Solo's conglomeration of fellas out of the match. So I actually think this makes sense. Now, I did have a bit of trouble picking a final winner for this, and here's why. I think story-wise, it makes sense for Solo to win. I don't think they're putting I wouldn't see, I wouldn't see the vision of having Solo win it just to then immediately lose it back to Jacob. I would just think that Jacob would just beat him in that instance the first time. But also, if you look at the landscape of the mid-card of SmackDown, everybody's heel. Aleister Black, The Miz, Carmelo Hayes, R-Truth is technically a heel now, I guess.
Ron Killings.
Ron Killings, right. He's technically a heel now, I guess. Sort of, maybe. I don't really know. The only babyface in the mid-card that I can think of on SmackDown right now is Damian Priest, who is very embroidered in a feud with Aleister Black. So that's not going to be a thing unless Damian Priest comes out on top against Aleister Black, which I'm pretty sure I would never watch wrestling again, because it would just be the thing of like, hey, we turned this guy heel. It's a big deal. Oh, we lost immediately. That sucks. Like, it would just be the same thing. I can't stand when people do that. But anyway, point is, it's kind of weird because, like, if Solo wins, then assumingly that means Jacob Fatu's probably done because you lost to Solo twice. Unless you're going to bring more people in, which I don't think you are. Like, where does Solo go from here then? Because, like, who's he facing now? Is he just off TV until you find somebody that's reputable to come face him? Is LA Knight going to face Solo and he's going to drop from world title contender back down to US? Like, I don't know what you're going to do, and it's kind of weird. So it's just a bit sloppy. All that being said, though, I am still going to take Solo. I think I trust WWE a little bit more to figure out who the next opponent for Solo is going to be. What you're going to do with Jacob after that if Solo were to win, rather than the haphazardness of giving it right back to Jacob and just having us basically start completely from scratch, just with one other taller Tongan involved. That's basically what that would wind up being at that point. Maybe you have Tama Tonga return, and that's how Jacob loses, and he comes up from under the ring. I don't freaking know, like something, but I have a feeling that they'll figure it out. But I just don't see it right now, but I'm going with Solo.
Yeah, this is kind of one of the lower points of this Bloodline saga that I feel we've hit. And if Naomi's now on Raw, Jimmy's going to be moved to Raw soon. Maybe he moves after this. I feel like, he, for whatever reason, he's not quite the equalizer, even though they're trying to tell us and paint a picture that he's the equalizer with Jacob versus the four of the MFT, Solo and the Tongans, which, little rant here for myself, the fact that they brought in Hikuleo and literally called him Talatonga because he's tall, irritates me like none other.
Yeah. So that right after that pay-per-view,
because he's been on a WWE contract with Hikuleo as well. Sorry.
Yeah, no. You're absolutely right. I 100% agree with you. I don't remember what pay-per-view it was that match happened where Solo won the belt, but I had a live event. Like, I didn't even get to watch Cena versus Punk until later because I had to leave in the middle of the pay-per-view to go to a live event.
Yeah. But it would have been Money in the Bank then.
Okay, great. Yeah, Money in the Bank. And No, Money in the Bank was when Jacobs turned on Solo. That was in that match. It was whatever the pay-per-view was after that.
Oh, jeez. See, that's the problem with all these. All these.
I don't even remember. But it was whatever the one that was in Saudi Arabia. I'm drawing a blank. The point is, I literally drove away and I was talking to somebody, and I was like driving there, and I was talking about the match, and I said, yeah, I didn't think Solo would win. That was actually really surprising. Talking about Hikuleo, and I said, you know what they should do? They should call him Tala Tonga. Get it? Because he's tall. And I said it as a freaking joke. It was a 45-minute drive. That was about 20 minutes into the drive. I showed up. I talked to my boss. I sat in a stool. I checked Twitter, and his actual name was Tala Tonga. And I thought I was in the Twilight Zone, dude. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. I thought that it was Wrestle Oops that I was looking at instead of Wrestle Ops. The Twitter, like the legitimate Twitter account. I was like, did I just get like NBA Sentelled, but the wrestling version? Like, that has to be a meme. There's no way that they actually did. And then unfortunately it was true. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I completely agree with you. That is absolutely ridiculous that that's what they're calling him.
I'm looking at the PLEs because this is driving me nuts and I know not even won't, it would have been Night of Champions. Yeah. I already forgot we did Night of Champions, or was what we talked about should have been a weekend of champions. Anyway, we'll digress from that again. No, that's too funny that you actually said that, and they actually, it's like, they actually did that.
No, I was about ready to jump out the window, dude. I was like, this can't be real.
What's interesting to me here too is I do wonder where Tama Tonga, the better of the three, I do kind of wonder where Tama Tonga fits in with this, because he's either off TV for a lot longer because they have merchandise with as the MFT, and Tama Tonga is not on that t-shirt. It's just the four of them. So either he's off TV for a while, or they are going to bring him back and align him with Jacob. And I was actually thrown off, I think it was like the day before Night of Champions, or it was like the SmackDown after Night of Champions. I forget which. But on Jacob's Instagram account, he reposted a video of just him and Tama walking out. And I thought I missed something on an episode. I started freaking out. And I was like, did he just align with him? And I'm like, wait, no, that's old. That was an old episode of SmackDown or something. And I was like, that could be cool, though. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they could.
Because I mean, there are other Samoans still out there, so there's at least, from all my accounts that I've been mining, there's at least another 2, if not 3 more Fatus out there.
Zilla just debuted in TNA the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Aligned with Enzo Amore.
Anyway, we won't go there. We won't go there. Back to the United States title, United States Championship, whatever we want to call this thing. Yeah, I think Steel Cage. It's just for me, it's another way just to have no DQ. I think it's really good, honestly, for 2 guys that can really just throw it down in the ring. I think it's great for Jacob. I have to pick Fatu here. I can't. I don't know. It's like him. It's like he's like the Roman 2.0 for me. It's like, I'm not going to go against the OTC unless I just have a really, really good reason. And I'm not going to go against Jacob Fatu. And I don't have a good reason to go against him here, despite all the MFT. And I do think that, Jimmy, I think, will be a factor. And part of me hopes that Tama Tonga is going to be a factor here on Jacob's side. And I think that's how you continue to feud a little bit too, is with them. But who knows? But I don't have a good enough reason to go against Fatu. I get what you're saying with, hot shotting the title essentially. But the aftermath, yeah, I do kind of wonder what happens with both of them, win or lose. Whoever wins and whoever loses, what is next for these two. But I do trust WWE to tell the story here with that, because they have been. So I think we'll get it. Just minus Jimmy, because he's going to go over to Raw, which may not be a bad thing. So yeah, so
Maybe.
we'll give you Solo. I'll take Fatu, and we'll see where we end up on the other side of the steel cage. I'm excited for the match though, just because it's Jacob.
Me too.
I need that Jacob Fatu San Antonio Spurs T-shirt ASAP.
That is that. Yeah, I can see why you would want that. That's fair. I do have a bone to pick with steel cage matches really quickly here that I've been meaning to talk to you about. It's for like 30 seconds. One thing I never understood about, like, this spot happens in a lot, not every single one, but in a lot of steel cage matches, especially one like this where it's like one guy versus another guy who has like 5 people as their backup. Like, what bothers me is a lot of times they'll do a spot where like the guy who has nobody to help him is going to like climb out, and then the whole group is like standing on the ground, like intimidating him, like, go ahead, climb down because we're going to absolutely murder you if you do, right? They're doing that whole thing. And then the person goes, oh, crap, I guess I can't go down there because there's a... Jump on them. You will win the match. Like, I never understood why they don't just go, oh, cool, thanks, it's going to make it easy. Whee! And they just jump. Because guess what? Even if they move out of the way, even if they just go nope and they all scatter, you still win. It's fine. Like,
you might be off TV for 2 months, but you still win.
You still win. You still win the U.S. title, or you still win the WWE Championship. You're telling me that you would turn heel, turn on your best friends, RKO a girl, punch somebody's wife in the head, whatever it is to win a WWE Championship, but you won't jump 20 feet and possibly sprain your big toe. Like, that's something I never understood.
Yeah.
You know, it bothers me.
I made that comment to my wife the other day, to where it's like, I feel like some days we have to do a little bit more suspension of belief than that's really that we need to be doing with some of this. Like, you know, mine is always the ref bump, and we'd never get another ref for another 5 minutes. It's like, really? We know there's a whole locker room of refs down there. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite is like Jessica Carr. Like when she takes a ref bump and she's out for like 5 minutes, I'm like, I saw you wrestle like a 10, 15-minute match like a week ago. I know that a splash from a 110-pound lady is not going to kill you. Like, it would be like if LA Knight was a referee in a match and, freaking Aleister Black just like body splashed him in the corner, and then LA Knight was like laying down for 9 minutes. I'm like, you had a 25-minute match with Roman Reigns. Like, no, you will not stay down for an hour. You will get up mad and you will beat him up. Like, it's ridiculous. But anyway,
it's what we call no selling. Come on, Knight. But anyway, yeah, United States Championship. We'll go split decision there, and we'll move on to the Women's Tag Title Championship here. Current champions Raquel and Roxanne, which has been a interesting pairing. Obviously, well, I don't know. I shouldn't say obviously. I think it's nice though. It's unfortunate to not have Liv Morgan in the picture. She's probably out for at least another 2, if not 3 months. That has to be another discussion, especially when we can get Chris back in, and kind of what happens when she comes back. But, I think they're doing well as a tag team together. I think they have a good, they've seemed to have a good rapport right away in the ring for being kind of a fresh team. And I feel like their opponents, Stratton and Alexa, do as well. I feel I have a weird feeling here of it's nice to see these tag titles finally get some attention again. That's not Naomi or Bianca or Jade. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's weird to respect where it's like you got 2 people who have been world title holders multiple times over and over on both brands.
I think
teaming
it's,
up.
17 combined world championships between
if not 19.
I think
if not 19.
Is it 19? Okay, yeah. So obviously,
it's 17 or 19. I can't remember how many Alexa has. I thought Alexa had 5 between the 2 brands.
I thought she had 4, and okay. I thought Charlotte had 13. But
I thought she had 14. So it's in that range. It's in that 15 to 20 combined title.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's so freaking many.
It's a lot. And they both deserve it. But I think it's nice also it's time of when we have a lot of women's wrestlers outside of the U.S. title picture, but you've kind of fixed that already. That it's kind of weird to have it, but I like the storyline that they're telling with these two of enemies, frenemies, maybe friends, and then becoming leaning into that. I think it's cool. I think it's nice. It's something that we haven't had for a while, something like that, at least in my horrible memory. But I like it here. Yeah, I'm honestly not really sure where to go with this match, so I'll let you go first here too.
Sure. I'm in agreement with you. I really like where they are going with the Charlotte and Alexa Bliss stuff. I think it's been very entertaining, and I think it's also refreshing. I think the fact that Charlotte got a "We Want Charlotte" chant the other night. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I can't remember now. It's all kind of blending together. I told you what my schedule's been like the last couple of weeks. I don't know what day or what time or if I was even awake for that, or if I just dreamed it or in some kind of horrifyingly realistic nightmare. But I mean, it was actually nice, and it wasn't like a I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of is here, but it wasn't like an ironic or like a sarcastic kind of nice where I'm like, oh, good for Charlotte. She's getting cheered for once. No, I actually genuinely was like, hey, you know what? That's nice. Because she said it in an interview. She's had a really crappy year and a half, 2 years. I mean, she's had this horrible injury that looked like it might end her career. She had another relationship fall completely by the wayside. And for people that I've obviously never been through that, and hopefully I never will be, go through something like that. But when your dad was divorced 4 times, and I'm sure you had to hear that your whole life, and then now you've been divorced 2 or 3 times now, like it's just a stigma that's you're going to hold for a really long time, that this is just kind of the way you are. And that must be really hard. And so it's actually kind of nice to see that. And at the same time, as much as I have been a proponent, and you know this better than anybody, of like, I can't stand when they just haphazardly throw 2 singles women's stars together, and then that's the only reason why the women's titles actually get, any kind of buzz or anything. This is kind of an exception for me. I actually think that this was the correct decision to put these 2 together, because otherwise Alexa was just going to kind of hang around, and she was not going to really have a story unless you were going to put her in the Wyatt Six, which for some godforsaken reason WWE just keeps not doing. But anyway, and then Charlotte was just going to hang around the world title scene forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever until eventually she won it, and then we'd all be upset, and it would just keep happening over and over again. So to me, I think it actually is the right call to put Charlotte and Alexa together. They're both fantastic performers. They both have great chemistry with one another. And so I actually think that this is quite nice. Now, all that being said, I am still picking Raquel and Roxanne to retain here. I would like to see this Charlotte and Alexa Bliss thing flesh out a little bit more before I inevitably probably do put the titles on them. Perhaps when Liv Morgan does return and perhaps costs them the belts, or maybe just right before Liv Morgan comes back, they'll lose the belts and then fail to get them back, and then Liv will come back, and it'll just be, and then it'll go from there. I don't know, but I do think that this is the correct team to take the belts off of these 2. I just don't think that this is the correct night to do it.
Yeah, I think going back to the Charlotte thing too, I think we were shoved her return in our face a few weeks before Rumble, and not Rumble, and it was same Charlotte over and over. We don't like Charlotte like this. And then she went away for a minute, had the match, and then she was like kind of the same with Charlotte with Tiffany, and it's almost kind of like in character, it's I got to rebuild myself somehow, and I've got a person that's got to kind of rebuild herself too, right along with me. That's kind of probably understands this a little bit more. So I think that's how they've kind of paired these 2 together. Again, the kidding back and forth and all that, we're not friends type stuff, and leaning into that. And they've leaned, I totally forgot about the "We Want Charlotte" chant. I think that is good, because February was 5 months ago, 6 months ago now. Rumble was 6 months ago, where it's like, where a lot of people could have cared less that she was back. Now it's kind of like, no, yeah, we do care that she's back because, and to me, that's a credit to the story that WWE is doing with these two, that Writer Room is doing with these two, and that's just a big credit to that. And so they're hitting all the marks. And for that reason, I'm actually going to pick Charlotte and Alexa here. I wouldn't be surprised if Raquel and Roxanne retain it. I kind of do, I do like the mantra where I've said before. I do like all the gold in a stable when you have that, and I think the longer you can hold that, the better off kind of you are. And then take them all off to start the implosion again, which we know eventually happen. But yeah, no, I think as much as I kind of want to go with that, I'm gonna pick Charlotte and Alexa here on this one. But again, kudos to just the fact that we how they've been handling Charlotte and Alexa too. I hope I think we'll eventually get that Alexa with the Wyatt Six, or with or whether it's together in a feud. I think what will be interesting is like who actually turns on between these two, who kind of like gets sick of the other person first. I'm curious to see who that is. I think that's the eventual road. But let's let them be tag champs while we can here.
Fair enough, and I think it is a testament to the fact that, at least I guess I can't speak for everybody here, but I can at least speak for me. I never hated Charlotte. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I hated the position that the company consistently put her in, and that it seemed that she was unwilling and unyielding in that pursuit of, I'm going to win more championships than my father, and that's just the way it's going to be, and I really don't care about anything or anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Becky has come out and said that her friendship with Charlotte completely fell apart because of Charlotte's attitude towards championships and not wanting to do the job with people and not wanting to help people along. And like, that has been a thing that has come out, right? I'm not breaking any new ground here, but I don't think a whole lot of people were like, I hate Charlotte as a human being. I don't hate Charlotte as a human being. I've met Charlotte as a human being. She's not a bad human being, right? She's very nice to all of us when we all met her at the Performance Center. So I think it just was like we were tired of seeing her in the same spot over and over again. And it was like Brock too, like in the same way. I know we were not supposed to speak about Brock Lesnar anymore, but like if I saw Gunther versus Brock Lesnar for the Intercontinental Championship, I would have been so excited to see that. Oh my God. But if I had to see Brock Lesnar go after Roman Reigns one more time for the world title, I would have, bashed my head in with a sledgehammer, right? Like I can't. It's all about the position that you put people in that is going to determine whether or not we actually want to see the thing. And so for Charlotte, like look, hey guys, she's not going after a world title right now. She's actually doing something completely different and showing a little bit more of her character. Yay! I like Charlotte when that happens. I liked it when she was with in that whole War Games thing. I thought that War Games with Shotzi and with Becky and with all that story of the two of them coming back together and working together as a team again, I thought that was great. It's unfortunate that she injured herself shortly thereafter, but I mean, that stuff was great. And who knows what that would have turned into, right? So I think it is a testament to that.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of things we may not always want to see or see over and over, we've come to the big match of the weekend. The big title match of the weekend, I think, depending on who you talk to. Cody Rhodes, John Cena. We have a street fight here, and I'm going to just get that out there. I did not use the cash-in trope for Gunther and Punk because I'm using the cash-in trope for Cody and John Cena. I'm saying that because in our booking, one thing that we both tried to do was really, and I think we both threw out the window at some point though, because we were like, well, we want to do all this stuff. But if Cena's truly sticking to, I'm only appearing this many dates. We've got 14 left for him, and maybe it might even be down to 12 by the time we get after SummerSlam. I don't know if he's going to be on SmackDown or not this Friday. But we're down to, the last half of his appearances, right? So in my thinking, it's like we have 14, 12 more times that we're going to see him. We still have 5 months left in this year. So at some point, he's going to take a break. So my thinking is, if you have a street fight and you have a potential cash in, that's a great way to write off John Cena for a good month, maybe even 2, to let him rest, let him recuperate, let him come back as a face. Doesn't have to hardly even do anything on screen. He's just going to be kind of like what they did with Roman, and they're still doing with Roman. We don't see him for a few weeks. We don't see him for a couple months. John Cena is just going to naturally come back as a face. And I'm fine with that. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm fine with that. So and my cash in is going to be mid-match. Triple threat. So that way you don't really put it on, you don't really put it on either of them. So that way Cody still is in that redemption mode. He's still teasing that heel turn that I don't think we'll ever truly get. And Cody's supposedly going to be involved in the movie too, so maybe this is a way to kind of write him off for a month or two to go shooting. I don't know if that rumor is true or not. And I don't want to base my match prediction, but to me, a street fight is like, this is going to be brutal. It should be brutal between these two. These two know how to take a ton of punishment. We've seen Cody wrestle with a torn pec. It's like, we've seen that, truly seen that. So it's like, we both know these two can really just take a beating. Cena's old, but he is still built to take a beating. And that's where I feel like we're going to get Braun Breaker come out first, and then Bronson Reed come out, and then eventually Seth's going to be coming out and be like, I'm healed. So we're going to get Seth to come out. And
healed.
It was all high. Seth can come out just like he did at WrestleMania in 2015. Hope I got that year right. And make it a triple threat, cash in, ding, ding, ding. Seth Rollins is our undisputed WWE Championship, because we still have to get to Roman and Seth at some point. But I'm talking about Cody and Cena. That's how I see this playing out. That's why I saved the cash in trope for this match, just because I kind of like maybe kind of the whole Naomi swerve to the title. We didn't think she was going to go after. That's where I feel like Rollins is going to go after. And my thinking is Rollins is going to make sure he takes care of Punk by just saying he's never going to get the championship, but he truly wants that undisputed WWE Championship. And it doesn't hurt Gunther. It takes him away from Gunther for a little bit, that we might still eventually get, or it leaves it open for Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, even one of those two to go after the heavyweight championship, because he's like, hey, I can get this championship. I'm on Raw. My guys will go get, we'll continue to compete for Gunther's championship. So that's where I see this going. I love the street fight stipulation here, because again, just as we've talked about with other stipulations, it allows even more freedom for other people to be involved. And I think it's just natural to involve other people here. I can be completely wrong, and I have no problem with that, but I think a street fight needs to happen here, and I think you can write off the feud between these two guys in a sense. Not saying they couldn't meet one more time before the end of the year, but to me it'd be doubtful. But I'd be fine with that, this being the conclusion of their story, just and that way, but keeping Cody and still at I'm after my title, still he's after his title still mentality. But you have Rollins on it. You have Rollins with the title instead for now.
All right. I definitely have not heard that as a take yet. So that would certainly be out there. And if it does happen, I mean, I definitely would not. There'd be nobody else that I would be able to credit other than you for me hearing it. So you got that going for you. Where do I begin? As you know, Dan, I have been on the no Cody heel turn train for a long time. And
Have you changed your mind?
What?
Have you changed your mind?
I have not,
Okay.
but I have thought about it, to be honest. And here's why, all right? And I know I've mentioned my booking, and I promise this is not just some like plug for my it has to do with it, I promise. In doing my booking, I have had the pleasure of going back and rewatching a lot of John Cena's fun moments over the years. His Doctor of Thugonomics days, you know, him winning the WWE Championship from JBL at WrestleMania 21, him beating Big Show at WrestleMania 20 for the US title, and then coming out in his hometown the night or the SmackDown afterwards in a Celtics jersey. I think it was I want to say it was a Robert Parrish jersey, if I remember correctly. You know, the feud with The Rock, his triple threat against DX, his match with Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. But my favorite moment to go back and rewatch, because I took several things from it that I'm going to use in my video, is when he surprised everybody in London at Money in the Bank a couple years ago. Not when he announced his retirement at Money in the Bank, but, you know, the year before that, when he just came out and everybody was like, whoa, right? Like the cheers and the roar and how much fun he had that night. I just remember him running through down the ramp, going like this with his arms, because it was such a long ramp. It was almost like he was like, come on, gotta get there. I'm getting old. Holy moly, right? Like, that's what it felt like. And I just sat there and I watch all these and I go, wow. He has to turn back babyface, doesn't he? Like, there's no choice here. Like, he cannot end his career any way other than he can't be bad guy John Cena at the end. Like, we'd be so robbed of that, right? And so I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like, you know what? As horrible as it is, and as antithesis of me as this is, damn it, I might sacrifice Cody's babyface run to get John Cena's final year as being a babyface. If that's the only way, I've thought about it. Now, I've said I haven't changed my mind because I have, I've thought better of it, and you take a deep breath and you get out of the editing mode and you go to class and you talk to your wife and you get a drink of water and you take a dump and you do all these things that clear your head and you're good, right? And then you come to your senses and you're like, no, that would be stupid. Cody is the guy, and you should not just throw that away just because you want 4 good months of good guy John Cena at the most, right? So I don't ultimately think they're going to do that. But I do think you need to do something, anything to facilitate a babyface turn happening. And I think I have a great way of doing it. So obviously the story of WrestleMania's match was Travis Scott. So you have Travis Scott come. No, I'm kidding. You have the story of the match is Cody didn't pull the trigger. Cody hesitated, which I think was the stupidest thing ever because he literally tried to murder Kevin Owens, but it's fine. I'm just saying he did. He tried to kill the guy. I mean, he did. He literally tried to kill him. And later went, no, but Johnny, like, it's freaking stupid. But this time he's not going to hesitate. He's not going to do it. But I think you should still have Cody hesitate anyway. I think you should actually have him not do it and then Cena kick him in the balls and hit him with a double AA or a triple AA, but have Cody kick out. And, but then later on, towards the end of the match, Cody finally has Cena down, dead to rights. And he says, no, the hell with this. Now I'm pissed off because I hesitated again. Now I'm pissed at me because I almost threw it away. He gets a sledgehammer and he just goes to absolutely wail John Cena with it. And Cena's on his knees in the middle of the ring and he like covers up. And Cody stops and just looks at him because now at this point, he doesn't even recognize the man that he is in the ring with. When have you ever seen John Cena go, oh my God, please don't hurt me? Like you've never seen that, right? Like, no. And Cena almost Like he waits for the punishment to come and then it doesn't, and then he looks up and then it's almost like he realizes it. Like he sees his hand, he looks at his hands, he realizes, oh my God, what have I become? I'm a coward. Right? Like who am I? What is this? He just looks up at Cody and he looks at the crowd and then he just slumps his shoulders, still on his knees, and just goes, I deserve it. End me. I deserve it. And because Cody doesn't hesitate, he hits him in the head with a sledgehammer. 1, 2, 3. Cody wins. Cody didn't fully turn heel, but he pulled the trigger because John Cena told him, I deserve it. Put me down like the old dying dog that I am. Put me down. And then at the end, Cena will have that just awful reflection in his eyes of like, what have I done? I made Cody do this. I turned Cody. What have I done? And then he can go away, like you said, for a month. Maybe you have a couple of vignettes in there or a couple of like John Cena's off in his Tampa Bay home and you have like an interview or two with him. You know, that way it doesn't count as an appearance, maybe, if you feel like it. And then he comes back as a good guy and he apologizes to everybody. And then that's when he fully turns babyface again.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I would do it. Like have it be like he's cowering, like, oh my God, please don't hurt me. And then have him almost see himself and go, what am I doing?
Right. No, and I love how kind of we're both like, this has to be where this has to be where he at least starts that turn, whether it's the full turn that night or that night plus a couple appearances or two or the writing off or whatever. But this has to be that starting point because I'm 100% with you. A Cena not being face come December would just be weird because I just, I mean, if that's how he wants to go out, okay. I mean, I feel like they're getting better at telling the rest of this farewell tour, but this is one of them where it's like, you wait too long to try to do it, then you do have to just keep with it. And, one thing I thought of the other day, it's like, what happens when we get to the WWE without a John Cena? And that's what we're going to happen next year. So it's like, you got to, you have to do so many things with so many different people, put a couple people over on his way out. And, he can do that better as a face than he can as a heel. So he can, set up the success of the company a little bit more. It's these matches, a couple more matches that we really hope we get to see that we have no idea if we're going to ever even see or not. We would both love to see the Braun retirement match. The rumors are going around that's a Gunther retirement match, which I don't think we would disagree with that either. But it's kind of like
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, so it's a lot of these things where it's like, if we want what we want at the end of the year, and we want to make sure we don't have to completely reset things with the Rumble and with WrestleMania next year on title scenes, other feuds, it's like him being a face will help position WWE better. So I think we're I know we're definitely on this, definitely both on the same page there as far as that goes. But I also love just how we both have two completely different ways of getting there. But the street fight in essence, as soon as Cody announced that, as soon as Cody, pulled the trigger on Friday night too, where he did that hesitation but still went through with it, just because he is that desperate to get his title back. It's that showing of, I agree. I don't think you will turn him heel. I think a face can have heel tendencies. I think faces can have edges to them. We've seen it with countless characters before. As a face, whereas it's we're finally seeing, we're seeing. To me, it's like we're seeing how Cody wants to be nice with everybody, but when you push his buttons too much, boy oh boy, you don't want that side of him. Doesn't mean he's a heel, but man, you don't want to keep pushing his buttons because eventually he's just gonna crack, and nobody wants a Psycho Cody. I don't think. So I love that we're both on the same page, but also completely different, divergent categories. Different journeys there. So
yeah, and that's what ticks me off about how they did WrestleMania. Obviously, Travis Scott aside, but the story of Cody didn't pull the trigger because he didn't want to hurt John. Again, he tried to murder Kevin Owens. Like,
yep.
And not, by the way, it's not even that he just tried to murder him like in a one-off situation when he was pushed. It was the whole story for Kevin Owens that Kevin Owens was trying to tell was Cody had no remorse for me. Cody doesn't care about any of his friends. All he cares about is winning. That was the story for like months. And then he gets to WrestleMania and suddenly he doesn't care about winning anymore. He just wants to be a good...
Yeah.
And then as soon as he loses to Cena, he wrestles Randy and attacks his leg for the entire match and beats him and just goes, sorry, Randy, what happened to WrestleMania? It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
The man wrestled with a torn pec and he won't pull the trigger. Like, what are we doing? Like, it made no sense.
And to me, as the more we get distance from Mania 2, to me, that whole thing just looks more of like, it was that true power struggle of Triple H wanted this, Rock wanted this, and that's how they had to merge it, and it was just a disaster. And the more we get distance from it, the better this is going to become. But boy, I feel like it really we still lost out on some things because of it, from both wrestlers. So
for sure. Well, we'll see what happens here, but yeah, Cena definitely needs to turn at some point, and like you said, if it doesn't happen now, I don't think it's going to happen ever. Otherwise, it's going to be like one match. Like, he's going to be a good guy for one match, and then at that point, you're like,
really,
what was the point? Yeah,
right. Yeah, no, I'm afraid it could really, really upset the balance for 2026 for WWE as a whole if you don't do it quite right. So, just as it is. So, but that's all our title matches on SummerSlam card. It's kind of, this SummerSlam card is honestly what I was hoping for from WrestleMania. Like, again, as of right now, as of this record, we still have 2 more SmackDowns and a Raw. So we could technically get one more title, but we have 10 matches. I don't see us going more than 12 matches on this card, but yeah, I like that we're getting all these title defenses on this card. But 2 more matches to go here, and we're going to talk our tag matches. I'll even let you pick here, Tyler. Do you want to talk the Randy and Drew tag match, or do you want to talk the Uso Yeet OTC versus the Braun Bronze tag match first?
No, we're gonna end with the good stuff. We're gonna end with the Roman and Jay versus Bronze. Give me the peanut butter and jelly or whatever the frick we're calling this stupid match.
Well, I already know what your feelings are on this match. Yeah, let's dive into Randy and Jelly Roll teaming up to face Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul.
Yeah. So it's amazing. I was so what I was doing was, I was at NXT and I was scrolling through Twitter and I was talking to my buddies and we were hanging out and having a great time and feeling like all was right with the wrestling world, and then I started scrolling through Twitter, or X, I guess, right? Doesn't really matter. And I couldn't help but read and go, wow. Thousands and thousands of people saying, Triple H, please book Jelly Roll in a match. We've been calling for it for months, years. All we've ever wanted as a fan base was for Jelly Roll to wrestle. Please, that's what we want as fans. And then I woke up and I realized that it was a nightmare because not a single person on planet Earth has ever asked for Jelly Roll to wrestle. Nobody wants this match. Why does anybody want this match? Jelly Roll wants this match. And you know what? Good for Jelly Roll. I'm glad he gets the match because as somebody who wants desperately to be involved with the WWE for the rest of his life and would give anything to be some kind of character on TV regularly. I have been one on TV once, but regularly, and be paid for it and have that be my life. I would love nothing more. And so for the fact that this guy, who I would presume is also a mega fan of this, that actually gets to go out there and wrestle, and with Randy Orton, mind you, That's not some slouch of a tag team partner. Like, it's not like the guy from Arrow, I forget his name. It's not like he had, like, I mean, no offense to Pac or Neville, but, kind of a low-level WWE superstar at the time versus Stardust and whoever his partner was. Like, that's fine, but, like, this is Randy Orton. Like, this is literally the legend killer. This is 14-time world champion Randy Orton. That guy's head must be exploding with happiness right now, and good for him. I'm happy for him. But other than that, what the bleeding hellstain are we doing? This does not make any sense to me whatsoever. Who asked for this match? Why do we want this match? Who thought that this was a good idea? Does anybody care about this match that's actually a wrestling fan? Does anybody care about this match that's a Jelly Roll fan? Does anybody care about this match that's a Logan Paul fan or a you? Okay, you're the only one, Dan. Congratulations. You're the only person that cares about this match that I have ever talked to. Every other wrestling fan that I have talked to has said, why are they doing this? I don't understand why they're doing this. Now, I'll make this one argument. I had a young man who's in my class. I will not give away his name. I don't want to disrespect him in case he wants to stay anonymous for whatever reason. Although he is in sportscasting, so he wants to be on air. So there's also that. But regardless, I'm going to still be respectful. He came up to me, knowing that I'm a wrestling fan, and he said, hey, Tyler, did you see that Jelly Roll segment on Jimmy Kimmel's show last night? He got thrown through. He threw Logan Paul through a table. That was really fun. This young man is not a wrestling fan at all. Not at all. And he came up to me and said, hey, I saw Jelly Roll throw somebody through a table. That was really fun. So you know what? If that's their goal, to get people who know nothing about wrestling to come in and watch a show, I guess fine. But also, that's one person. Are you going to get, what, a couple hundred people that don't know wrestling that are going to come in and watch this because of Jelly Roll? I'm pretty sure if you're a fan of Jelly Roll, you probably already know that he's a big wrestling fan because he's been involved at other WWE events before. And he's performed at WWE events before. And he talks about it all the time in interviews. I'm sure you probably already know he's a wrestling fan. So how much is this doing? I don't know. I don't know who asked for this match. I don't know who wants this match. I don't want this match. I don't care about it. I don't need it. I'm happy that Drew's back.
Woo.
Except he's doing another freaking nothing feud, which is basically what he's been doing for a year and a half, despite the fact that he's been doing his best work of his entire career. My pick for this match is obviously Randy and Jelly Roll, because there is no justice in this world, and Drew McIntyre will definitely be pinned by a vaguely fat country singer. Kill me, please.
You just summed up where I was going to go with my argument for why people will probably tune in for this match. He's a country singer, and I'm guessing there's probably a untapped fan base they think they might have there. I don't know. To me, it's the same as why are you bringing in Travis Scott? Why are you bringing in there's other musical artists that they brought in. I'm not throwing Bad Bunny in there because Bad Bunny is just very, internationally renowned.
Yeah.
But,
and he actually was a really good wrestler and had a great one-on-one match in front of his home country, which made sense.
Yeah. And so I think we're looking at a fan base thing here. I think we're looking at a way to continue the Randy and Drew feud, or maybe set up a Randy and Logan Paul feud for some reason. I don't know. I had an interesting thought as you came back to end of your thoughts there. We were just talking about the mid-card title on SmackDown being a little lacking in bodies, or not necessarily bodies, but, just possible stories. And maybe, one thing we never got was Drew going after that U.S. title for some reason. He was supposed to be number one contender for the U.S. title that he never got the actual match.
I forgot about that.
Exactly.
God, yeah,
everybody has. Not here. Not on this podcast. So maybe
does he go after Solo then?
I don't know. I'm just saying. But again, it's another, like, to your point when we were talking about it earlier, though, it's it's two more heels in that, because you're not going to, I don't think you'd throw Randy into that picture. To me, I think this is a continuation, a way to continue the Randy and Drew feud for a little bit until whatever pops up next for them, which I don't know what that is. I also think it's an interim feud for Randy, because eventually I think we can get Randy and Cody, but I still think we're at least a couple months away from that, if not even still next year. So I think this is just more something to do on TV, something to do a match, but we got to keep these two names at the forefront because they're two of our biggest stars. Logan Paul, hate him, love him. He's going to draw people. I do find what he has said is funny. And I mean, I think it's perfectly in his character to go this route of Logan Paul being like, Jelly, we don't want celebs wrestling in WWE, when Logan Paul is a celeb wrestling in WWE. Now, he has expressed desire to be more of a full-time wrestler in WWE. So again, it fits his character very well to call out Jelly Roll like that. So I think that kind of helps it there. It's or maybe we break this off into Drew and Logan for some reason. I don't know. At the end of the day, it does seem odd. I care about it because I like Randy, I like Drew. I want to see Paul get pulverized, and I do like Jelly Roll because I'm a country music fan. They're probably just trying to explore different musical genre crossovers with wrestling. I don't fault them for that. As long as this mix of people doesn't come up in another match, I'm fine with this match. If this remotely happens again, then I'm gonna be like, okay, why? I'm still kind of that why with you right now, just not as strong as you, but I'm kind of like, really? This is, but it's one of those, just a step in the bigger picture, hopefully, between Randy and Drew. And I'm with you. You can't have a guy like Jelly Roll lose. Randy and Jelly are gonna win this match. That's my pick when it comes down to it. But yeah, this is one of the odder matches, if not the oddest match on the card. And it was one of the first announced for the card too, which is crazy. But yeah, that's our first of two tag matches that are not around a title. Have you gotten all your frustration out around this match?
I mean, yeah, all the frustration's gone. I think the reason why I'm so strongly against it is like what we're gonna do after we talk about the Roman and Jay and Braun stuff, which is you're gonna throw some possible matches at me, and within that you're gonna throw a bunch of names at me that I just sit there and think like, these are people that work so freaking hard to be on these shows, and they lose out to a country singer. Now, again, I know Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul are in this match. That's all great. You know what you could do? Fatal 4-way. Logan Paul versus Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton versus whoever else you want. Aleister Black, Damian Priest, Bo Dallas, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes. Name anybody you want. Winner is the number one contender for the United States Championship later on. I don't understand. I know that they just did a women's battle royal at Evolution that's number one contender. Why do we not get number one contenders matches at pay-per-views? Barely ever. We never get them. It drives me up a wall that we never get them. There's actually some stakes to these things. You could actually give a window into the direction of things. Although, if they do number one contenders matches, they'll probably just do what they did to Drew, which is literally make everybody forget that he's the number one contender for the U.S. Championship and just have him never go after it. So I guess maybe, beggars can't be choosers if they're just going to do that anyway.
I'm guessing Drew forgot that he was the number one contender at some point. I thought he brought it up a couple weeks later, but I think he was just kind of like...
He did. He said that you would get a match after this person got a match, but then he didn't because Solo got the match, but then Solo won, and then now it's just all goofed. But I'm pretty sure Drew was maybe had an injury. I think that was reported after he lost to Damian Priest.
Yeah.
So maybe there was that. But regardless, my point is that there's so many deserving wrestlers on the male and female side that when I want to watch wrestling, I don't want to watch Jelly Roll wrestle. I just don't. I'm sorry. Listen, I have nothing against Jelly Roll. Very talented singer, by all accounts, a wonderful human being. I know this is going to sound like kind of a little off base, but I actually watched him give a speech in front of I think it was a House Judiciary Committee about fentanyl coming into the country and how he has so many friends and family and just people that he knew in his neighborhood that have died from that. So he was petitioning them to try to ban it. And this is 3-4 years ago. Like, the guy's obviously pretty dang smart. If you can go up and talk in front of a House Judiciary Committee or whatever it was, I forget now. But like, I have a ton of respect for that guy. Like, I don't have anything against Jelly Roll as a person or as a.
Yep.
I just don't want to watch the man wrestle at the second biggest pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a grumpy old man who doesn't like fun. That's fine. But it's just
I'm the grumpy old man over here. Okay.
I mean, no, you're the one that's like, I don't think it'll be that bad. I'm the one that's like, no, I hate everything. Like, it's get off my lawn. Like, that's me right now. And so I understand, but anyway, okay, now I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely curious. Yeah, when I was putting that list together that we'll talk about here in a minute, I'm definitely like, oof, this is interesting. And seeing the card as a totality now, I'm like, But the tag match that we do want, that we very, very much want, that we wanted immediately as it came out the other night is the OTC1 Roman Reigns and fellow cousin Jey Uso. Warm embraces since they two reunited. And if Roman isn't a true babyface now, it wasn't a true babyface before, he definitely is now. In that promo, I love that promo that he had against Paul the other night. It's like you didn't, I forget how exactly how he said it, but it was like he acknowledged, for lack of a better term, that he did have help. He understands it and he knows it, and that's what happened. And nobody could stop that help. He thanked the Usos. He thanked Sammy. He's like, Paul had a part in it, but it was those guys. He thanked Solo. He acknowledged all of that, and and I think that's great. I've always been a big fan of Roman. And I'm really interested to see where this iteration of him goes. I think it's gonna be great to see him and Jade team up. It's gonna be like, honestly, if Roman wasn't on more of the part-time side of his schedule at this point, like, man, I feel like that could be another unstoppable tag team, Roman and Jay. It's like Jay's accomplished a good bit this last year and a half, and Roman is just, I just think that would just be a wonderful tag match, between these, or a wonderful tag team, I should say, between that. So with that intro of Roman and Jay versus the Bronze, I love it. I will repeat whatever I won't, not whatever the OTC says, but if that's what he's going to call him, I mean, that's what we're going to call him. We're going to call him the Bronze. So where are your thoughts around this whole marvelous match we're going to get?
Sure. So, this is the secondary match within this feud that I wanted. I originally wanted, obviously, Roman versus Braun Breaker 1-on-1 because that would just print money and it would be wonderful. It just really would. But this is a wonderful consolation prize. I'm more than happy to watch this instead of not getting anything at all. Very clearly. I don't know if you caught on to this, but on the Raw where I basically got the prediction 90% right at the beginning of the night, right? I said that Braun was going to start the gauntlet, he was going to run the table, his last opponent was going to be Punk, and then I said that Roman was going to come out and cost Breaker, and then that was going to set up a one-on-one match. So all of it's playing out. They're both down. I'm waiting. Bronson Reed comes out, and I'm like, here we go. Here comes the big dog. Yeet. And then Jay came out and did it. And I'm like, I swear on everything I love, if we get Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker instead, I'm going to hurl myself out of a 5th-story window. Like, I was like, I cannot do this anymore with the Yeet Man taking all the matches that I want. Like, I was, like, so mad. And then 2 seconds later, Roman came out and everything was all better. But for that like 2-minute stretch before after Jay came out, before Roman came out, I was like, I'm gonna have an aneurysm, like I was like so upset. But look, again, luckily it was fine. So this is a great match. I think that they've done a really good job building it. And as you know, Dan, I have always said that a newly formed heel tag team should always win their first match, but this is very much an exception to that rule because clearly Roman and Jay are winning this match, and I don't think that's that controversial of a thing to say. I think that Roman would have absolutely no credibility whatsoever should they lose this match. And Jay either. I mean, it would just make them look like complete doofuses for coming out and making this big stink of, oh, we're going to fight Paul Heyman, but we got to get through these guys first. Oh, like that would just not go well, right? Like it just wouldn't work out for the two of them.
Oh.
And it is strange where like you'd think like Tyler, really the exception is Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed as a tag team losing their first big match at SummerSlam. Yes, because that's how big of a star Roman Reigns is. That's how much Roman Reigns needs to win this match. And Jey Uso is there too. And he's gonna do stuff, and that's fine. Like, honestly, like, if it was a handicap match, the outcome should be the same. Roman should still win. Like, that is how little Jey Uso has to do with the story, in my mind.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. And it's not because I don't like Jey. It's just because, like, Roman's gonna get the pin on whichever one of the two you feel like doing. Probably Reed, in my opinion, because I do still think you should do Breaker versus Roman in like Paris or something. Like do the one-on-one match somewhere. Hell, do it at WrestleMania. I don't give a frick. Like just do it at some point. But for me, I think Jay is just there because they needed an extra body. And I also think this does kind of go against what I said earlier about the Seth injury. But let's say Seth is actually legitimately injured. I wonder if the plan was Roman and the Usos versus Seth and the Brawns. I wonder if that was the plan. I think that would have been really fun. But there is a 6-man tag that we're going to talk about here in a little bit that I want to get your thoughts on with your last bit here. But yeah, so clearly Roman and Jay are winning this match. Sorry, Braun. You guys can win down the road.
They can win down the road. They are the future. We are not in the future yet. We are still in the present with our OTC.
Yes.
I can't really add anything to that. 100% on the same page with you. I do hope we get either at Paris or at Crown Jewel. I think we will get Roman versus Braun, Spear versus Spear. I think the world has been asking for that since the Rumble. I think we will get it. And whether in Seth's injury, regardless, eventually we're gonna get. I really, really have been waiting for that Roman Seth final one-on-one for I don't know what 3 years now. It's got to be at least 3 Rumbles ago now. I'm horrible with my years, but so it's like I almost kind of wonder, or that could have been the plan even of a one-on-one or setting up an eventual one-on-one. But I think we'll still get there. We can still get there with these guys, as it is. Do like the 3-on-3 tag match there too. I think that could have been a possibility if everybody was healthy. Yeah, no, I really can't add to that. Obviously, picking the OTC and the Yeet Master, that you can't go against them as much as we both love Breaker too. There's always the exception to the rule. These are the exceptions.
This is the exception, and it's not even a question.
He is the future. We will get that WrestleMania 43, 44 of Breaker and Fatu. I know it. I just can feel it unless something tragic happens. But we'll eventually, that is the future. But we're still on the island of relevancy. Before we get into some other storylines that Tyler and I discuss, I just wanted to throw in these two graphics. We have 2 more matches announced since we recorded this podcast. The first match was announced on Thursday. It looks like we now have the rubber match between Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. Very excited to have Karrion Kross on the SummerSlam card. Well deserved for this wrestler, for this character, for this man. Very excited. What a great opponent for him to go against Sami. Sami has made many men, many good storylines. I'm excited to see where this rubber match goes. A little surprised when you hear the comments that we had between these two gentlemen. I think we're a little surprised that this match is on the docket. Sami's hurt. He's been hurt. But this should be an excellent match because Sami is a never give up type of guy. Very curious to see what the result of this match is and where it goes from here. I'm very curious to see what happens with the status of Karrion after this match. Because as of right now, he has not signed a new deal with WWE. I have a feeling that deal is imminent, if not already done, just not reported yet. Because to me, you're not going to put a guy like this on SummerSlam and then just cut bait. But they've cut bait from a lot of people before at weird times when you just wouldn't think they would. So it remains to be seen, but I remain hopeful. And regardless of the contract or not, both Tyler and I are on the same page here with Killer Karrion Kross taking the victory here, winning this trilogy between him and Sami. Now it's going to be fun to see who Karrion goes and tortures next. The other match that is now official for SummerSlam, our 12th and likely final match for SummerSlam. It's a TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, 6-pack tag team match, otherwise known as Chaos Upon Chaos Upon Chaos. It's going to be dramatic, a lot of fun, and honestly, I'm so glad that Aldis has announced this, just because it's unfortunate that Andrade and Rey Fenix did not get their opportunity to win the belts this past Friday, but they get another chance here. They just have to go up against the entire tag team division. Not only do we have the White Six, we have this new team of Andrade and Rey Fenix, on top of the established Street Profits, DIY, Motor City Machine Gun, and the new kids on the block, Fraxiom. And this actually means that all but 2 titles will be defended on the SummerSlam card. I'm very excited about that, as I've mentioned before. And it's going to be a doozy. Do the White Six probably retain in a fashion like this? Good chance they do. They obviously have the numbers versus everybody else. But again, it's just going to be chaos upon chaos. So enjoyable. Tyler, well, he's going the route of Fraxiom, giving the new guys their chance to run with the tag titles finally. I wouldn't be shocked to see the White Six retain, but I'm going to go with Andrade and Rey Fenix here. They didn't get their chance the other night. I think they get their chance and they are victorious. And we'll keep doing this tag titles on SmackDown, changing hands every 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. And it's wonderful. It's a stacked division. Everybody's going for everybody. Hard to determine who's number one. It's like everybody wants their chance. And I think this will just be a great chaotic match to really just show how strong this division is for SmackDown. Unlike their Raw counterparts, the SmackDown tag division is shining brightly. This match will showcase everybody. I'm glad everybody gets to be on the stage. This is going to be chaotic fun, and I'm looking forward to it. With those matches down, those are the last 2 matches announced for the card. You'll see us talk about more about these 2 storylines and other storylines ongoing in WWE right now. So let's get back to what we recorded on Wednesday with some of these storylines before these 2 matches were announced. With that, as you've kind of alluded to a couple times, possible matches. Again, we're recording this, with a couple episodes of TV left before SummerSlam. I don't feel the card is quite full. So some of the current storylines that are still going on in WWE right now. We still have Rusev and Sheamus going on. They just put on another great match on Raw the other night, so we need a blow off match between those two. We seem to be having something happening between Damian and Aleister Black. We got Sammy and Karrion Kross that have had their second match. That needs a blow off match. I'm not as invested in this storyline, but the Chelsea, Stephanie Vicure, that could possibly involve Nikki Bella. We haven't really, that's been kind of teased, but that might be something saved for more TV episodes, not necessarily here. And then we still have the two men's tag titles. I'm not even, we've mentioned the women's US title, but we know there's just really no contenders for that title right now. So you're gonna say, thanks, Julia, for holding on to the title. I guess I'll eventually get to challengers for you. I do like the Jade idea. I couldn't remember if I said that earlier, though. I do like the Jade idea for being a contender of the women's US title. But we still have that. The LWO is the current number one contender for that match, for that title. And and Andrade and Rey Fenix are a newly formed tag team on SmackDown.
That's been fun. They have really good chemistry.
Yes, they do. They've been great. So we have the White Six versus Andrade and Phoenix at some point. Both those tag title matches could easily stay on their brand episodes, maybe even around SummerSlam weekend. But where your thoughts go? I think I asked it as which of these matches is most likely to happen. I'll even throw it up to, since we threw in the Rusev and Sheamus feud there too, I'll even let you pick two matches that you think are most likely to happen on SummerSlam if there's still 2 slots to go for SummerSlam.
Sure. So if I'm counting correctly, I believe right now there are 10 matches that are announced.
Yes.
So that would obviously be 5 each night, which I think is about right. There could be 1 or 2 more matches added in here, but let's go with the 2, like you said. I think the one that makes the most sense to be added out of all of the ones that we've talked about is Stephanie and Nikki versus the Secret Service. And if it was up to me, we might even throw in Chelsea Green and call Brie Bella up and have Stephanie and the Bella Twins versus Chelsea Green in the Secret Service. I think that would be lovely. Now, listen, you know me. I've never really been the biggest Bellas fan. Just never really have. Didn't really care when Nikki came back. Wouldn't really care if Brie came back. But I also know that there is an audience for those women. Nikki Bella is one of the most popular women that have ever been in the company. And that is undeniable. I'm not stupid enough to say that that's not the case. I'm pretty stupid, but I ain't that stupid, right? So it's pretty obvious that there is an audience for her to be there. And it is pretty obvious to me that they are going to take on the Secret Service. And so to me, instead of just having Chelsea Green sit at ringside and have Stephanie and Nikki do it by themselves, why don't you have a 6-man? Stephanie and the Bellas versus Chelsea and the Secret Service, and have it be the reuniting of the Bella Twins and have it be really fun. I would find that really fun because I know not that it would be my kind of match. Like it wouldn't be like a story for me, but other people, I know that tons and tons and tons of other people would be super excited to see it. The crowd would be super excited to see it, especially if it was a surprise. Like you never really know, or it was announced last minute. Like I know people would be really excited to see Brie Bella and Nikki Bella reunite and be the Bella Twins again, and do their twin magic thing, or maybe you can even do that where like it's a 2-on-2 and then Brie Bella, they do the twin magic thing. I don't know. Maybe they do look pretty different now, both of them. They have much different like body shapes and much different hair and much different composition and stuff like that. So it'd be a lot easier than it used to be in terms of telling them apart. But anyway, point being, I think that makes the most sense. Just because it's not like it's completely different from anything else on the card. It's there for a different reason than anything else on the card. And I just think that it would be really fun. And it gets women more chance to shine as well. The second one for me personally would be Damian Priest and Aleister Black for reasons that you obviously know. I am the biggest Aleister Black stan on planet Earth. Just like you are the biggest Roman Reigns stan on planet Earth. What other stan did you say you were earlier? Was it Jacob Fatu stan? I forget.
Yes.
Yeah, Jacob, whatever it was. Yeah. You're that I am Aleister Black. Like that's where I'm at here. Genuinely, I turned the television off when he lost to R-Truth in a minute and a half. And I was like, okay, done with wrestling for a while. But then I saw on Twitter that he immediately turned heel and beat the crap out of Damian Priest backstage. And I was like, all right, I'll forgive you.
That's why you stick around,
now.
Tyler. That's why you stick around and wait and be patient,
yes,
Tyler.
But I'm just giving you an example. That is how invested I am in the character, right?
Yeah.
And the person.
Understand.
It's, I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think that he should win, U.S. or Intercontinental or some championship very quickly here, because that's just what I would do if I was them. Apparently, again, according to a ton of reports that I've read, WWE's been super happy with him so far, with the merch sales and with reactions that he's getting. The crowd reactions aren't quite there yet, but he's heel now. And he got the biggest reaction that he's gotten since his return night last week when he came out and he was a bad guy. He was getting booed out of the building, which I think that bodes well for him. I think things are just going to keep on going up for him. So that would be the two matches for me. I think Sammy and Cross, since you just had that match on Monday, I don't think it makes much sense to do it again at SummerSlam. And then what were the other ones? War Raiders and LWO. No. And then Wyatt 6 versus Andrade and Phoenix. I think that would be fun. But that kind of seems to me to be more like a Friday night SmackDown right before SummerSlam match, not actually on the card. Because again, I just think, because if you think about it in terms of like, if I had to pick that match or Stephanie and the Bellas versus Chelsea Green and the Secret Service, like that seems much more to me like a SummerSlam match than it does than Andrade. And now, would it be a better match? Oh yeah, definitely. Not even close. Like, I don't want to see Brie Bella wrestling Piper Niven for 15 minutes. Like, no offense, but like that just doesn't sound like fun. Now, a triple Devil's Kiss with the Bellas doing it on all three of the other people, like all at the same time. Yeah, I'd watch that moment. That'd be fun. Like the whole crowd would go, and they'd all do it, and it'd be great, and it'd be a great fun moment, and go viral, and it'd be a whole thing. That'd be fun. But like as a total match, yeah, I'd much rather see Rey Fenix and Andrade versus the Wyatt Six. But that just seems like a Friday Night SmackDown before match to me. But I'm interested to see what you say, because I think you said that the Chelsea and Stephanie feud is the one that you're like least invested in. So I'm actually interested to see where you go from here.
Yeah, that's the one I'm kind of least invested in. Just we were talking before we started the record, and yeah, no, it's one of those where I feel. I mean, I get it. And it's obviously help get people more invested into Stephanie. And so I understand the process there. I don't know. I've just never been truly invested in the Secret Service stuff. Not the biggest fan of Chelsea. So it's all of that to where I'm kind of like, if it's on the card, sure, it's not going to bother me. I almost feel like you have to put Brie Bella in to make it kind of worth putting on the card, personally. I don't even know if there's anybody, and if you didn't have Brie available and wanted to still make it a 6-woman tag match, like I don't know who else you'd even bring in to do that. So that's where I'm kind of like, I feel like the story has legs for a little bit longer, and that's where I'm kind of like, is SummerSlam really the right time for this? And
I feel like Natty and Nikki are super close.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but to me, part of me is like, is SummerSlam the right place to do it? But then you also have to make sure you set up Stephanie for Clash in Paris. 5 weeks later. So maybe SummerSlam is where you do something like that. I don't know. Or you just want really good ratings on a SmackDown one day, and that's when you bring Brie back, and you do have this. I don't know. It's one of those where it's I get it, kind of where you're going. It's like there's the audience for it. I'm not the target audience for that, so I'm kind of like,
neither of us are. but
Yeah.
you know.
But I also know you're invested in that too, just because you're invested in Stephanie's career and stuff, and you've been able to see, you've been able to see that in NXT already,
Sure.
and so I totally get that. I would love to honestly see the Karrion and Sammy one more blow off match, but yeah, kind of as you said, yeah, it does seem a little close to Raw to do that. I when you texted me earlier today, and I was like, "Am I forgetting any feuds?" And you said Rusev and Sheamus. Part of me was like, "Yeah, them." But then I thought about it. They've put on good matches, and of any feud that needs a blow off match, like that as actually to me fits this card really well. And to
Sure.
me, I think I said this to you or to the group even. If you've brought back Rusev and you've brought back Aleister Black, they're both heels, both on different brands, and you're trying to shove us in. You're not really shying away from shoving as much as you can into AEW's faces and being ha ha ha, because you ran all your events the same weekend as All In or All Out. But I think it was All In though the other weekend. And if you're doing all this stuff, it's like, why wouldn't you want an Aleister Black match or a Rusev match on the card? So I think like within literally minutes of me texting you, it's like, I'm like, actually, this would make a lot of sense. So
Sure.
that's the ones I would personally like to see is Damian Aleister Black, and the Rusev Sheamus match on there. So again, just to be like, hey everybody, don't forget that we just got these two guys back into the fold as well. And they're likely championship contenders. And honestly, like you said too, you going back to what you're saying about matches we don't see enough on PLEs. Number one contendership matches, man. Like, yeah, I can't remember the last. I feel like it was an elimination chamber from like 2, maybe even 3 years ago. That's like, or maybe a WrestleMania from 2 or 3 years ago that we last had like a number one contender for anything, on a PLE. I think that's sorely missed. It's like I thought that Battle Royal was nice on Evolution 2 to have that as a part, because again, you have sticks and you can put it up as they can choose their title, or it's going to be their roster's main title or whatever it is. And like I said, I think initially I was like, oh, the Randy Drew Logan Jelly Roll match, that was cool. That was interesting. But when I'm seeing the rest of this card and the rest of these matches, to where my level of investment is differing, but I'm still have somewhat investment of it. It's like I look at what's not on the card right now too, and it's like, man, they could do so much more. Well, I don't love that it's the LWO, and I don't think it happens. Like, when's the last time we saw the Royal Raiders? Like, yeah, we had the number one contender match, but were they even ringside? I don't think they're even ringside for that match. It's like, I don't get what they're doing with the Raw tag titles. It's complete opposite of the SmackDown tag titles. Just my little rant here too. SmackDown has 6 tag teams right now. It's maybe 7. Because you got White 6, Andrade and Phoenix is a new one. DIY, Motor City Machine Gun. Who am I forgetting already? Street Profits just lost it. You brought up Fraxiom. They didn't really have anywhere else to go on NXT.
They were the best tag team on the planet for like 2 years.
Yeah, and they've showcased well. So yeah, that's 6. But like I said, I think there's someone I'm still forgetting. I think you could do 7. Pretty deadly,
Deadly.
but I think one of Pretty Deadly's hurt right now though. But still, but your depth of tag teams is really nice on SmackDown, and it's almost like now that it's back to 2 hours, like we're probably going to see like all those teams. We should see at least 1, if not 2, tag matches every single week between all those teams, and then Raw has Raw Raiders that we haven't seen for at least 3 or 4 weeks. A heel New Day that isn't all that exciting, and you just tore apart A-Town down with you just tore them apart randomly.
Thanks for teasing that for 2.5 years just for Grayson Waller to go, he's hurt. I don't feel like it anymore. Friggin' ridiculous.
Exactly. I literally watched that segment and I'm just like, all this for nothing? They break up because he's hurt in a promo.
Yep.
Really?
That's all you get. That's what you get for investing in stories, dude.
So, and it's just
that's
like,
how the Judgment Day. I guarantee you that's how the Judgment Day is going to break up. I promise you. I promise you, Finn Balor is just going to be cutting a promo backstage. He's going to be like, "Oh, by the way, do you guys not know? Like, we're not even a thing anymore, guys. Like, come on. What? I haven't been in the Judgment Day for like 8 minutes. What are we doing here? Come on." Like, I guarantee you that's how it's going. That's how they're going to break up, and there's going to be no more Judgment Day. Or it's just going to be a post from Sean Ross Sapp on Twitter. The Judgment Day is officially broken up. That's going to be it. That's all we get is the payoff.
There will never be a payoff for that. The Judgment Day will be in perpetually always. Are they going to break up or not? It's going to be that's going to be the perpetual. Should they or shouldn't they? That will never end. That's just the gimmick for them. There will always be a Judgment Day.
We are the hamster, my friend. We are the hamster.
So
for all.
So for all that to be said, there's just we could probably go on for another half hour complaining like, I wish we would see more matches like this or that. Like the Gauntlet match on Raw was great. That was wonderful. We kind of knew where it was going. And yeah, you text me when you text me your scenario, I was like, oh man, that's been cool. And so when it didn't actually happen, I'm like, I guess we're not getting Roman back. I guess we won't get him back till after SummerSlam at this point. Then he comes out, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, I was sitting there like, we wanted Roman. We wanted Roman. We don't get Roman because we only get Yeet. All we get is Yeet. I can't get it out of my head. It's never going to get out of my head. Like, I feel like a mental asylum patient just sitting there like I can't get rid of him. He'll never leave. He's haunting me. Like, and then Roman came out. And
maybe we should reach out to Bo Dallas sometime. Maybe he can help you.
I know. I really need some, what's he? He's going to give me like a hamster mask or something. I don't freaking know.
That works.
Give me I don't know what there's a pig that's already taken, so I can't do that. There's a goat or a sheep, so I can't do that. There's a buzzard, so I can't do that. A pelican. Got it. It'd be a pelican. Just a big old beak. Just...
I honestly have to say this about the Wyatt Six really quick. To me, it's really cool to see, like, whether it's just what they're wearing as their outfits or they've truly just jacked themselves up. But, oh wow, Joe Gacy, right? No, yes.
I mean, there is a Joe Gacy in there.
Yeah, in White Six, yeah. Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis. Yeah, Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis. For some reason, I was thinking of a different Joe, and I got confused myself a lot there for a second. Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, they're technically the tag title holders, and then you still get Eric Rowan even bigger behind them. It's like they're not even going out there with their best tag team and winning these titles. It's like, it's crazy. Whether you think they should have the tag titles or not, and I know where you and Chris lie on that, and I, somewhat agree. It's like there's such a domineering force, and it's not even Eric Rowan out there as one of them, who is a seasoned tag team champion himself. So again, I don't know if it's just how they're making them appear on TV with just their outfits and stuff, but they look big as it is, and Rowan just looks insanely huge. So again, I don't know if that's just me or not, but the fact that they're doing it, it's like, I don't know. But I do like that we're probably going to change the tag titles champions every 2 or 3 months on SmackDown. I'm totally fine with that. Especially when you have the depth you do on SmackDown. It's like, okay, now it's your turn. Okay, now it's your turn. It could get repetitive, but I feel like with the characters you got, especially with DIY, Motor Machine Guns being their constant foil, Street Profits are always entertaining. It's a good old time, unlike Raw, because we have LWO, and not even the best of LWO as your number one contenders.
Yeah. And so 2 things. Number one, remember when I sat here on this podcast and went on a nice, passionate, like 7-minute thing about how I would book the Wyatts and how I would not even get them close to a championship for like 3 or 4 years? And then 2.5 minutes after I did that, they won a championship because no one gives a frick what anybody wants. They just want to give these spooky boys the titles, or else the world will stop spinning. Like, it's apparently, I don't know. I guess that's what happens when, you know, if we don't let the Wyatt people go after championships, is that the world just will explode into oblivion and we'll all be dead. Because that's what they refuse to do anything other than that. But then second of all, we talked about the Raw tag scene. You know what really bothers me, Dan? Do you know who is a tag team on Raw right now? That if you actually just let them do anything, they would not only be the best tag team on Raw, they'd be the best tag team in the freaking company. The goddamn Creed brothers are on Raw right now. They were the best thing about NXT for a year. Thing, act, gimmick, anything. They were the best thing about NXT for a year, in my opinion.
I remember how excited you were when they got called up.
Yeah. They were given so much hype, and then they were put with Chad, and we all thought it was going to be wonderful. And they basically just reduced Julius to a guy who stands there, and Brutus a guy who stands there and laughs weird. That's what they've reduced them to. Yeah. And then they just lose and lose and lose and lose. But they're the best wrestlers in terms of tag teams on the entire Raw roster, and it's not even close. And because the two biggest tag teams you have on Raw are heels and heels, you can't have the Creed brothers go after the championships. Because there's no good guy tag teams for them to beat other than the War Raiders, and the company thinks the War Raiders shouldn't be beat by the Creeds, which I think is ridiculous. I think the War Raiders should 100%.
When they announced the triple threat for the number one contender, I was like, oh, maybe this is finally where the Creed brothers can finally have a shot at the titles again, because they haven't sniffed a shot at the titles since before WrestleMania 40, if I remember correctly. When they were first called up, because I remember that's when we started doing this stuff together. And it's like, you're talking about the Creed brothers. Like, oh, that sounds cool. They sound fun. Yeah. Nope. Yeah.
They are so buried on the roster. When you were listing Raw tag teams, you didn't say them. That's how bad they've been.
I knew I had forgotten a team. I just forgot to circle back around to saying them.
but you get the point, right? Like, it's like the fact that you forgot that the Creed brothers were on Raw for even half a second makes me so mad. And I'm not saying like you that what you said made me so mad. Like, the booking of them makes me so mad, because every time Julius Creed steps into a ring, everybody goes, holy shit, this guy's good, right? This guy's insane. And then nothing comes of it ever, because they want Brutus to go or whatever the hell he does. And people think that's hilarious. And it's not hilarious. It bothers me very much. Brutus is not an idiot. He's never been an idiot. Just because he's big and he's funky looking and his name is Brutus doesn't mean he's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't get it. It's almost like, I mean, I get you, not every single title is going to be able to get featured every single week or even once every single month. But I feel like, you know, while we kind of ridiculed the women's tag titles for a little bit there, and, you know, just poke fun at that, well, now it's the Raw tag titles that are like the black sheep of the company at the moment, because it's like, yay, let's not have our champions appear for 3 weeks. Oh, and I mean, I guess the Judgment Day is another tag team there, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, the champions. They are the champions right now.
Have I been saying the War Raiders are champions this whole podcast? Yeah, wow. Yeah. See, I'm proving my point. I'm proving our point.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have, but that's okay.
I'm using that to prove my point. Those were the previous champions, and I had forgotten that Judgment Day had all the gold.
Everybody believed it, didn't they? They're like, I think the War Raiders actually a champion. I think they are. I think you're right. You know what the funny part is? The War Raiders weren't even the last champions before the Judgment Day either. The New Day were. They haven't been champions for 2 cycles. Never mind.
Well, this is our last video that I'm ever going to do, because I can't keep anything straight these days. So it's been great, y'all.
Oh God, yeah. So
But
when I
again,
said that the two
to what you
biggest-
said earlier, there's still only one face tag team.
yeah.
So
And
why
it's
weren't they in
apparently
that
the
match then?
LWO.
Well, no, I guess two because they get LWO. I guess they're faces, but again,
The War
not
Raiders,
even the best
but we
two.
haven't seen the War Raiders in years, so they lost to the Judgment Day and then went into hiding.
When do we get Rey Mysterio back? Speaking of LWO,
I have no idea. I think he tore his groin, dude. He's probably going to be out for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out for a little bit. Although torn groin, I probably like 6 to 8 months. So
I know. I mean, the dude's like 50, so who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
So, anyway, well, I'm going to shout out Joe for appearing on the pod for a little bit. Appreciate his takes. I'm glad we had the discussion we did with Punk and Gunther. Other takes. As always, it's always fun just getting everybody's different perspectives. That's the great thing about wrestling. That's why I do like doing this. Is even when I get stuff wrong, insanely wrong, 5 months ago tag champs wrong, it's still fun. It's still, we all embarrass ourselves.
On WrestleMania, dude.
Anyway,
I
think I predicted the War Raiders retaining there, and I guess I'm still living in that fantasy land. Anyway,
hang on, wait. I do need to see what you wrote here, because if you wrote in the thing War Raiders defend against,
you
did.
Yeah.
You put War Raiders versus LWO. Yeah, the War Raiders are not the champs.
And I'm the one who has said at least twice in this podcast, man, it's great that Judgment Day has all the gold right now, and I think they'll probably keep all the gold.
That is true. You did also say that. Dude, we're living in parallel. I'm telling you, dude, we're living in the Twilight Zone. I'm telling you, we have to.
That's not good. It's not good.
No, it is not. I do not want to ride an elevator struck by lightning and then become a ghost. I don't want to do that. Thank you.
Maybe we already are.
Makes sense, dude. Although, why do I have to pee if I'm a ghost? Like,
okay,
that's what I want.
This is where we end the podcast now. Bodily fluid is my line. Okay. So, shout out to Joe. Appreciate his taking time to be on the podcast for a little bit today. Thank you, Tyler, for being on for the whole kit and caboodle. Always a fun time with you around. It really is. So thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. Let us know what you think of our picks for all 10 of these matches and possibly more. We will post in the comments if there are more matches added, what our picks are for those matches. But until then, thank you for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, pass this on to your wrestling friends. Please, please, please get the word out about this podcast. And Tyler is working on his long form John Cena booking that we did our episodes on. He's putting that all together. That is coming out very soon, just after SummerSlam, almost at WrestleMania. What world are we living in? Where the Yeet has become world champion again at Clash of Paris. That's the world we live in. So, like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate it all. Can't wait to see what Tyler's coming up with here with his long-form video. It will probably take all day to watch it for me. But I love it. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be really good. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to SummerSlam. And we will talk to you all later and have a